it stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Criminality, or welcome to Criminality if this is your first time here. So, I have not been on the last couple of days, so we have 3 days of testimony to go over. I do not, this is gonna, I know people are gonna be like that. Okay, Teresa. I do have a time limit I have to keep this to, so it may be a little different than we normally do. But I also have some clips that I want to show you guys outside of, about the Karen Reed trial, but not actually from the testimony, that I think that you guys will enjoy. So just an FYI, I leave on Wednesday next week. I will be gone for a week. I know this is going to be kind of tough. I was kind of hoping that this trial was going to be done by the time I left, but it looks like it probably won't. So I return on the 25th, so it looks like I will probably not be able to go live until maybe the 26th, though. I will do what I can while I'm gone, but hopefully I don't miss a ton of stuff. Let me see. So is this a 30-minute wait? Wait, is what a 30-minute wait? What's a 30-minute wait? Oh, okay. I think you're frozen. I know it's been going since forever. No time limits today, or we skip the super boring shit and just get to today. Well, I'm just going to review a couple tidbits of info from each particular section, my takeaways, and then discuss your takeaways, and we can compare them. So we're going to go over each person, kind of, but not like we normally do. You're going to miss the Emmy and all the defense side. Well, I'm still going to do my best to watch. My daughter has nationals gymnastics competition in June of every year, so it's in different states all the time, so we won't be competing every day, but there's definitely a lot going on. But I'm going to do my best to still stay caught up on the on the case, obviously. So let me say hi to everybody here, and then I want to go through a couple different things, and then we'll start talking about the testimony and my takeaways from the testimony, and see if you guys saw the same things I did, and like what your general thoughts are. So hi, Anja. Hi, Heavy Metal. Are you going on vacation? Enjoy. If so, don't worry about YouTube. Spend time with your family. Just me and my daughter. We're the only two going. Yeah, so she's, yeah, if you guys remember, I have one of her competitions. I have a video up of every time she competes. I make her a video so that she can have it forever. So should message Sleuthy. She was just in OIK chat, but I wasn't in the chat over there. Oh, so she'll pop over if she wants to. Hey, Helene. Hi, C-Dub. So curious if it's true the excused juror was video recorded at the waterfall last night speaking to witnesses. I have heard that rumor. I do not know if it is true. So we have 2 jurors that have been let go. I believe one was for personal reasons, and then one that was let go today that the rumor mill has that she was actually at the waterfall bar last night. I don't know if she was. I didn't hear interviewing witnesses, though. I just heard that she was actually at that bar. Now, that was obviously not a good idea. If she was interviewing witnesses, I mean, there's no questions asked. So there was another juror that was removed today. So we had 18, we now have 16. there was also a juror who was accidentally somewhat filmed, and I don't know how many people actually caught it. I'm not going to play that part, but she walked in the other door, and I don't know why, and I don't know why they didn't tell the camera people that she was going to be coming through that door, because they would, I mean, as soon as they realized who it was, they like dropped the camera really quick. But that's not the door that any of the jurors normally come in. So, but Bev was really fucking hot about that. And so she was like, no cameras for the rest of the morning. But then there's still like the Zoom. And then we had the weird angle on the first witness, Jessica Hyde. It was like, I'm like, she's going to be so pissed when she sees that. Like, if you guys just randomly started recording me from like here, I would just like, I don't even, like, what are you doing? So, hey, Ginger. Anyone else's head hurt? It did for a little while there, and then I was like, okay, I can wrap this up. I can make sense of it. I did actually have to go back and listen to a certain parts, because I was like, what did he just say? What was that? Like, to make sure that I understood it. So Hyde, it's not easy to turn off, but I'll do it for a handful of people. Aw, thank you. I typically will only watch that on replay. I do not participate in that chat. There, once chat is like that, there's no interaction. And for me, I might as well just do a pre-record at that point instead of bothering to be in the live chat. I might, 2x speed is much easier to get through when I'm not going to talk to all the people in chat. So I will watch on recap, but I've already watched the hearing. So I'm not big on the recaps that constantly play the hearing, which is why I try not to do that. I did it with the text messages only because I thought it was kind of important. But I'm recapping the entire trial just by watching the entire trial? Like, I don't want to do that. So if you got clips, play your clips. Like I said, I'll watch it on 2x speed. So what's up, Susan? What's up with all? Hi, Snappy Dragon. I add a millionaire cops. Hi, Petunia. What's up, Dizzy? Let me see. So, but I'm sure that's another reason I actually hate going live on the night of trial, because there's just so many people live covering it. He was very hard to understand, especially for the non-English natives. Interesting. I didn't even think about that, but that's an interesting point. Hey, Rody Gal. What up, Jen, if anything? Hey, Ramblin'. Okay. So a couple things. Let's talk about. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was talking to you the other day about a little girl that had gone missing named Soraya Unga. Or Soraya Harmon is actually her name, but her dad's name is Ung. And so she is still missing, but I did have a little bit of an update. So I wanted to show that to you guys real quick. And then we will get moving. So this won't take very long. So a couple other things too is I got the 900 pages from Madeline Soto's case. So I wanted to do something on that. I wanted to do something on this. I want to cover the list press conference from yesterday, but trying to prepare and make sure that we have everything for this trip. My time is just so, I feel like I'm pulled all over the place. And if I didn't have a freaking, to spend the day watching the trial, I could actually do other things. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little frustrated with the trial because of that, because I'm like, now I'm spending so many hours watching the trial that I'm not able to get some of the other stuff I want done. And I didn't expect for it to be going forever in a day. And so I'm kind of like, there's almost a part of me that's kind of over it. And I'm like, okay, like I'm done. Like, I'm done. They're done. Like, can we just let's go to deliberation right now? That's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know. Maybe it's just because, like I said, my time is just so limited that I'm just getting frustrated with Lolly wasting so much of it. Okay, so I wanted to show you the picture of the little girl. So if you guys remember, so this is Soraya. This is her dad that had took off with her. Ironically, this is out of Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho. Like, what are the chances of that? His fiance was at the airport leaving with her family, left all of her stuff there, went to the restroom, and never came back. She just took off from the airport. She was just bounced. So somebody was asking about the footage from the airport, and so they do have, here she's so cute. But I'll read a couple of these to you. Look at it. Look at her little face. Look at her little face. This is so cute. A little bluey shirt. So here's the girlfriend or the fiance leaving the airport, just with nothing. She's got her jacket and she's just like, all right, I'm just gonna leave. Just bounces and leaves all of her stuff there. So somebody had asked me if I had that pic, like to show where she was going or who she was with. So it says on the day before Ung was supposed to leave for a trip to Montana, his mother said she received a series of alarming text messages from Harmon. Samara's text messages suggested that Soraya had a very large swollen belly and her intestines were about to explode. Prior to the trip to Montana, Ung and his dad called the emergency room director at the Pullman Regional Hospital, and Ung's parents put the word trip in quotation marks, like his trip to Montana. The press release said they were told that she was constipated and that water, prune juice, and some other medication will take care of the problem. This confirmed the unstable, misleading personality of Samara, which was very similar to the Ung family. The director apparently gave the good to go for Soraya to leave with Aaron. Our family's observations on the inside is that they acted on Soraya because they felt she was in imminent danger. Our family observed how much Nadia took loving Soraya, Nadia's the fiance, and caring for her like her own daughter. They said that Soraya called Nadia, Cole, the fiance, Mama. The family said they observed Soraya smelling like weed, dog urine, smelly and dirty like a garbage truck, and unkept. She had dirty nails and apparently rashes in her private areas. The family provided a photo of evidence that Harmon left the home a pigsty. Due to the custody issues surrounding Soraya, we discovered the family court system in the United States is a disaster, often very willing to hand full custody to deadbeat moms and essentially castrating young, capable men. The family laid out issues they had with Harmon. This is the mom, including her drug use. Soraya is 2 years old and has an oval-shaped birthmark on her left forearm, which measures about 2 to 4 centimeters. Her mother, Samara Harmon, has posted videos and photos of her daughter to Facebook. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't give to just hear you shout "Mama" over the slightest inconvenience, for you to run around my bed trying to play games after asking for 1,000,001 bedtime stories, to have you refuse to go to sleep and ask for cuddles just one more time. Harmon posted, "You are the brightest, smartest, kindest, and funniest little human I've ever gotten to meet, and seeing your personality shine through more and more each day is the biggest blessing in my life." Harmon noted in one post that Soraya is incredibly sick, and if she is not given the proper medical treatment she needs, it can be fatal. Soraya's grandmother, Shauna Harmon, also has been posting on Facebook. So we got a call that Soraya had gone missing around 6:30 on June 3rd. Shauna posted to Facebook, "Samara called from the police station. She was screaming, she was crying. We couldn't understand what she was saying. It took probably 3 full minutes to understand her. Then we were screaming and panicking too." Shauna talked about the difficult situation for the Harmon family. It has also left so many questions, including why would he do this? What does he want? Why haven't they found her? Harmon told TV's host, Nancy Grace, that Ung would manipulate her and weaponize their daughter. He knew exactly how to get to me. He knew what to say to scare me and make me think one thing over another, which is what many people suspect is happening with the fiance now. So this was while we were still in a relationship. FBI Seattle, as well as the Moscow Police Department in Idaho, are investigating with the Pullman Police Department. They are searching high and low across the globe. So they essentially think that he took off with them down to Mexico, and that it's possible that when he contacted his fiance, who was getting ready to leave, that he told her like something was happening to Soraya, and that's why she ended up leaving the airport, because she was scared. So she wanted to go take care of her. So just an update on that. Hopefully they find her. Hopefully they find her safe. I mean, there was another little baby that had just gone missing, and unfortunately that did not end well. It ended as expected, unfortunately, though. Hey, Shaz. Just voir dire. They do have court, just no jury. Let me see. Hey, BGOG. Hey, Dina. Hi, Kaleido. Hey, Jennifer, anything? I don't think anyone is frustrated with you, though, T. We enjoy whatever you put out. Well, thanks. I'm frustrated with court, so I get it. I ATS. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Okay. DB should have a channel, but nobody listens to me. Oh, yeah, there you go, Susan. That's the one that I was just mentioning. There are 2 kids missing and mom found dead also. Is that the one with the 2 little girls who dis? And they found one of the girls passed away? Is that another one? Because I was kind of paying attention to that too, but there was 2 kids missing. 2 little girls went missing, and I know one of them they ended up finding that passed away. One not alive. Yeah. I don't know if that's the same one. I mean, sometimes it's overwhelming, the shit. Allie and Jay were losing their shit today with the Reconstruction guy. Oh, I haven't heard one passed away in Laranger, I think it was. That's the same one, I think. I'm almost positive. His Cajun mama might know better than me. So, yeah, pray for our babies. I mean, they're the future, and this is what we choose to do to them. It's the fucking craziest thing. And so many times it's one of the parents, and I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about Karen Reed. And you guys remember the audition for the role of Judge Bev? Well, she's back for second call. So I am going to play that for you guys. Since I haven't played any audio yet, I'm just going to test this out. Let me know if you guys can hear it. If you can, I'll keep going.
Your name, please, and then you can go right in.
Maureen Hancock called back for...
Can you guys hear that? Let me know if you can, and then we'll go from there. I know. Yep, okay, perfect. I know. She is like perfectly Judge Bev. Very low. Ugh, what? All right, hold please. Let me see if I mute it, if it makes it better. Why would it be so low?
The role of Judge Beverly Canoni.
And action.
Morning, jurors. We came in early today because we had some things that we had to discuss, and you...
That's at max volume. So I don't know why it's so low. Let's see if I turn up this, if it'll help you guys.
Couldn't be here for that. But one day this week, we're going to bring you back in, and then we're going to send you
back
out and then bring you...
Confidential. Callbacks for Canton Confidential. Thank you again for coming back in today. And whenever you're ready, slate your name, please, and then you can go right in.
Maureen Hancock called back for the role of Judge Beverly Canoni.
And action.
Morning, jurors. We came in early today because we had some things that we had to discuss, and you couldn't be here for that. But one day this week, we're going to bring you back in, and then we're going to send you right back out and then bring you right back in again, because we need to go over what we need to go over. So we're going to give you maybe 7 breaks that day, and but we'll figure it out. It's going to be one day this week or no days this week. But we'll see you back in here, and then you're going to go right back out. So, good morning, jurors. Good morning, Mr. Yannetti. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, Mr. Lally. Good morning, Flag. Good morning, Cabbage Head. Good morning, Avocado. Good morning, Plant. Good morning, Turtle Boy. How did you get in here?
See, now that's really flipping loud. I don't know what it was just about her audio that was so low, but dude, I just love that chick. She's so hilarious. All right, let me I don't want the next thing I play to like blast everybody. All right, hold on. And I got something. Okay, let me see. Let me make sure that these are all closed. Okay, let me see. Okay, don't message on Facebook. I hate showing Facebook because then all the messages always end up coming up. I did not see 2 outside of the courtroom dressed as Bev. I did see somebody, I think it was yesterday, dressed as a red Solo cup. Speaking of, if you remember, try to drop the red solo cup emoji that I added. See if it works. All right, so Canton Police Department and the comments section just never fails to entertain us. So I figured after a bit of a boring day, we needed a couple things to chuckle about. You're at Maynard's? I haven't heard of Maynard's for so long. It's so Midwest, East Coast. There you go. There's your red solo cups. Hi, True Crime Fan Girl. The two Bevs are at the beginning of Tom's. Okay, let me see if I can find it. The what if any red solo cup. So I threw that one in there today. That was when I was listening to the testimony, and I was like, all right, I need something else to do because I can't. This is so boring. This is so boring. And then I was like, oh shit, I should probably pay attention to that part. And then I was over here making freaking member emojis. So bad. All right, so the Canton Police Department posts traffic advisory, multiple power lines and poles down in the area of 95 Washington Street. Expect heavy delays in the area throughout the day. There will be no access to the intersection. Seek alternate routes. Crews have been notified. No ETA on when the work will be completed. Oh, you guys can't probably see this very well. Hold on. Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. There we go. Oh, shit. Son of a bitch. Just hit the wrong damn button. Okay, so it says, are the delays as heavy as your shame? How's long until it's fixed? What, if anything, was the cause? All the truck wanted to do is deliver the red solo cups and the Stop and Shop bags. Who's in charge? Hopefully not any whack jobs. Is he going to pin this one on Karen too? It says, how long is this going to take? Expect heavy delays for justice for John O'Keefe. How and if will it be fixed? I'm willing to bet the driver was listening to Lolly and fell asleep. This one was so bad. It was so bad. Is this so you can find Kevin Albert's gun and badge? So bad. I need to know if Jay ever read the other one. We went through, so this is at least the second one we've done. And the other one was even, I was in tears. This one's funny, but the other one really got me. Are you using red solo cups instead of cones to redirect the traffic? Were any taillights broken? I'll keep an eye out for them and turn them in 2 months from now if I find any. Who will they frame for this power outage situation? This guy asked, have you tried inverting the wires? So bad. Will the route be inverted? Hold on to your taillights. And this makes sense. Here's hoping every Canton police officer knows where his or her gun and badge are. This one's all detoured to the sidebar. I hope the drinking and driving cops aren't on the scene. The ones who degrade women with their high school buds. Maggie says, were they hit by someone named Albert? Kathy says, is it safe to say when, if ever, it's fixed, you'll sort of let us know? This one gets dropped a lot. How's long till it's fixed? This one's all, do you need any Stop and Shop bags? How's long till the power's back on? How's long, if any amount of time, will you be able to provide us with the ETA? Can you describe, if any, the texture of the power lines? Is it safe to say they were damaged? What, if any, type of damage? So bad. Power out? You'll need a lot more extension cords for the leaf blower. What if any video footage will be inverted? Can we still go to D&E? That's Chris Albert's pizza place. Someone had too many crystal lights. Danielle asked if a Ford Edge is involved. Jennifer says, but will there be solo cups, stop and shop bags, and a leaf blower? Caroline wants to know if the Sally Port's okay. Make sure the Sally Port's okay. Kim wants to know if anybody has a leaf blower. Work being completed, like actually investigating a crime from beginning to end. That one's so cold. I don't know why they even leave the comments on. Let me guess. We don't know what happened because the footage somehow went missing. Don't forget to delete this. Did anyone ask if Colin had an alibi before they posted this? Can we call Jen McCabe and see if she can help? Instead of cleaning up the poles and lines, why don't you just cover them up? Has the video evidence of what happened been deleted yet, or is someone working on that now? Says, do not use Fairview as a detour. People mysteriously end up dead on lawns. It says purge day in Canton. No cameras will be operational along this route. Matt says, are you guys searching for Chloe? Poor Chloe. Does this mean the camera footage in town will be missing for this time period too? Aaron says, again, who is going to inform Colin? This was one of the best ones from the other post. It was a detour. Somebody was like, somebody needs to let Colin know. Because if you guys only post this on Facebook, Colin doesn't have any social media. Who, if anyone, is going to get a hold of Colin? So now this one's like, again, who's going to tell Colin? He doesn't have social media. Somebody needs to tell him. Fucking Colin. Did Proctor hit the pool drinking and driving in his cruiser? I don't even know why they have a Facebook at this point. Kathy says, I'll let him have this one. Oh, Matt says maybe a balloon knot got stuck in the lines. It's good. It's a good thing there's no ETA because I don't do time. That's Tristan Morse. That's Caitlin's boyfriend. Doesn't know. I have no idea what time it was. I have no idea what was happening in the world. Can you reroute traffic through the Sally Port? Everyone seems to just be passing through there at all hours of the day and night. No, this was the same thing. Call Colin. He deleted his social media. Christine asks, could you describe what the weather was like at the time? I think that's hilarious. No, if we looked at the Google trends, on balloon knot, I swear, I mean, that had to have gone up. I had no idea what it was, and I think I know quite a few things about stuff, but not that at all. I had no idea. Yes, Susie Q. This is their actual Facebook page when they put out the notifications traffic detours stuff. And I don't know why they don't just turn off comments. I wonder if the McAlberts have gotten to the point of never leaving their homes. Well, some of them up and sold their house and left. They're just we're not doing this anymore. Whew. Let me see. Should be cleared up in about an hour. No big deal. Things in Canton seem to teleport to other dimensions. No questions, no photos. Proctor probably has plenty of time to investigate this, but definitely do not take notes. No measurements. Just ask Jen McCabe. She probably has a story about this, which is most certainly facts. How many civilians first responders have the Alberts, McCabe's, Higgins put their hands on? Assaulted, boots to the face, etc. that the news hasn't known about. Disgraceful families they are. And hopefully they all get what's coming to them. That's a little much. What, if any, sort of delays will you be expecting? Will any police officers be drinking in their cruisers? Will they have their badges and guns on them, or will they have forgotten them in another officer's cruiser the night before? Who would be driving the cruisers? With what, if anything? What, if any, damage was there to the poles? In case of emergency, call 119. Call 119. Oh my gosh. Yes, tiny human.
I'm telling you, I don't have one right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I put it in freedom.
Okay. What are you telling me this for? Just so I know? Okay, are you coming to get another one? Why? Why'd you put the other one in the freezer? Why aren't you just eating that one? Or did you eat it? Okay, well, what are you doing? You're trying to sneak another one by telling me you put the other one in the freezer? Yeah, no, thank you.
Eating it because I want to have muffins then.
You don't need any more food, dude. You're like a little garbage disposal. You can take one of those and put it in the freezer inside if you want to. I know 119. Oh, I can't. Okay. Can you please hurry? Thank you. Close the freezer. Thanks. Oh. All right, let's see. This one's probably the best. In case of emergency, called 119. How long until my Ford Edge's taillight will be fixed? My German Shepherd's balloon knot is leaking, and I'm all out of my mediocre chicken farm. Oh, they asked if Rafferty, the chief, hit another pedestrian in the crosswalk. Ugh. Do you not have an ETA, or can you just not remember it? Proctor is still the lead investigator. Are you choosing to go down with this ship? We, the people, demand integrity from those in positions of authority. Didn't spell authority right. Fire the corrupt cops, swallow your pride, and make a statement against this behavior. That one's not funny. Gosh, sometimes people miss the memo. So many hours long till the power is restored. It happened at 2:27 a.m., but the call didn't get logged until after 6. So when did it really happen? 2:27 or 6? Could you, if they have any type of emergency or like anything that they have to log at 2:27 a.m., that's going to just be a pain in the ass for them. Like, so they're like, oh yeah, the power went out at 2:27 a.m. Oh gosh, that comment section is going to be fire. Was someone traveling 135,000 miles per hour? Oh, shit. When the collision happened, did it make a bang bang sound? Did it make a bang bang sound? Don't ask Yuri. He can't tell time. Someone must have been going 25 miles per hour in reverse and knocked it over. Did you check for anyone under the downed pole? I am disappointed. Bad apples. The Canton DPW had to recuse themselves as it's one of their own poles. The power of water. That's so fucking bad. The Department of Power and Water from Canton had to recuse because it was one of their own poles. But they still showed up anyway. With respect to Cobb Corner, what if any alternate route should be utilized? Can you tell us this in a different way? How did this occur? Who, if anyone, was driving the truck? Were there any Stop and Shop bags and red Solo cups in the truck? Will you bring the truck to your wonderful Sallyport for inspection? How's long until it's fixed? Power lines down due to Proctor driving a state-issued vehicle drunk at the Cape, looking for Albert's badge and gun. Then while at the military base, they ran over Agent Higgins' SIM card and iPhone separately after dining at Waterfall Bar and Grill and passing the public library at 135,000 miles per hour between two arcs, 1.5 miles apart, based on data not reviewed, just given to us. Well, Lieutenant Tully put wrong date on the police report, and then evidence custodian stuffed 2 extra pieces of clear taillight plastic in the evidence bag. After the report was written, 3 + 2 = 5. After a man in a black hoodie was seen on video striking a rear taillight of a Lexus SUV in the Sallyport inverted, while 20 seconds was lost on motion-activated high-tech camera system, while a Ford Edge owned by another officer was left at the scene and never investigated at all. Aunt Bev kept Jackson Esquire from fully cross-examining witnesses so the public will never fully know the truth. Dang. I guess if you had to summarize this trial, this is where you'd be. This is where you'd be. Hi, Serendipity. Hey, we got shot. Hey, Sherry. Oh, man. Yeah, you need to laugh. Are they all smoking legally out there? I don't know. I don't even know if it is legal. I think I asked that question before. Hope there wasn't an early morning drunk driving going on. Jed says, was it drunk driving related? I mean, this is just, how do they even, their social media person, what if their social media person is Kevin Albert? Like, what if he's in charge of it? What, if any, training have you undergone to repair this damage? I was told the delays were due to a leaky balloon knot. Has this been verified? Oh, so bad. Oh, this one, look at her coming in. She's hardcore. She's going to defend her Canton peeps. These comments are disgusting and disrespectful. This is not my Canton. Thank you to all the amazing men and women of Canton Police, Fire, and EMS. Hold on. I got to see what they responded. You didn't die on someone's front lawn and your significant other blamed. Ooh. Ouch. See, you can get dirty. You can get dirty in there. Did Karen hit the poles too? Oh, it's Officer Doofy. Keep the noise down, or we'll have to shut off the AC while they're working on the poles. Oh, how's long till we find out why nobody wanted to go to John's funeral? Oh, man. All right, let's see if there's any other big ones. Will there be caution tape? I took Boston off my bucket list. It's not feeling safe. They won't be able to answer any questions, but what they do know to be factual is they were driving with their hands at 10 and 2. They do have that. Can you post this another way? Are they sort of down? What if any power line is sort of an issue with respect to Cobb's Corner? Let's see. Hear ye, hear ye. So many people asking about the weather conditions. As soon as I drove through the intersection, I don't recall seeing this message. As long until someone gives updates. Fallen pole, so now it's a sidebar. It's a sidebar. All right. Enough of that. We'll get to the other stuff. Puff, puff, pass. Puff, puff, pass. Okay. Ooh, wowza. The problem is that none of them are smoking weed. And after today, I was like, I'm really going to need a White Claw. I don't think I've ever had a White Claw in my life. I'm like, ooh, this is a rough day. I probably need a White Claw. All right, so I'm kind of we'll kind of work a little. We're going to kind of go all over the place. I'm not going to do this quite in the order that it should be done. We actually ended on Monday after. I think we went Tuesday instead, but it was the ending of Monday with Proctor on the stand, just starting cross-examination. But I don't want to go back there yet, so we're gonna have to wait on that for a hot minute. I don't want to do Tully yet. Tully's okay. We can talk about these guys real quick because they're kind of easy. We'll just get them out of the way. So this is actually from yesterday. Late, or as I like to call it, right on time. I'm glad it has gotten to the point of this in this case. I've been following the case since you couldn't say anything anti-Canton PD without being torn apart. Oh, really? Yeah, I think that's very much changed. So, all right, well, we'll touch base on these guys real quick. Let me turn this off so I can just read. So this is the sergeant from Needham, Brian Gallerani. All he does is he's the one who comes in January of 2024 and gets the samples from Proctor and Buchanan. He enters the evidence and they send it over to this place called Bodie Technology. That's all that he was like. And there's no cross on any of these folk because it really was not worth crossing on. And it's interesting to like hang out on Twitter, which if you guys know, I've been doing more stuff on Twitter lately. So I've been trying to spend some more time over there. And it's an interesting place to watch the back and forth because the people that are very pro Karen Read is guilty are like, there's no cross because they know it's true. They know what a big deal this is, and they got nothing. They're not going to fight back. They got nothing to fight with. And it's like, you do realize like this is just like the normal course of like the investigation, and there's really nothing to question them on outside of the one thing I'm going to bring up when I'm done going over all of them. Hey, Travis. How much does everyone think there was on timing of the guy right before Proctor, after Proctor, cell phone lady, and now Joe? All by design, put out the worst, followed by the best. I think that Tully was definitely better than Proctor. He was 100% more professional, and I think that was a very strategic move. The other ones, I don't know. I don't know how far Lolly would really actually think ahead. You're trying to stay away from X this weekend? That's probably good. What about Twitter? You gonna go there or just staying away from the X? The confirmation bias on Twitter is off the handle, legit. Like people are so adamant that she's 100% innocent and so adamant that she's 100% guilty. I'm even at the point, like, I love Vinnie Politan, and if anybody watches this channel, you guys know I love Vinnie Politan. But he has Nick Rocco and Yellow Cottage Tales on every night because they're two completely opposite sides of the spectrum on whether she's innocent or guilty. And I don't have any personal issue with either of these guys, but it's at the point now that they only see the parts in this that they want to see, and they refuse to give anything to the other side. And there's points being made on both sides here. So it almost becomes like, I don't necessarily have, it's not a trust. I mean, it's just, there's such an absolute confirmation bias, like C-Dub was saying. It's hardcore. And so they can't, and almost just so that they can try to be right, they won't see the points that are actually being made by the other side. Now, whether those points are enough to actually do anything to sway the needle on guilt or guilty or not guilty is more important. But to not understand that there are being points made on both sides, I think is kind of a travesty to even their opinions, because it takes away the legitimacy of why they think what they think. You know, like if one's going to make excuses on why Proctor can be such a piece of shit and obviously not do things correctly, or why the investigation is using red Solo cups, and can't just be like, yeah, these guys obviously are fucking idiots, you know, doesn't make her innocent, and vice versa. Yeah, they may have done something right, doesn't make her guilty. It's all ego. And I think the point of what actually matters kind of gets lost in that. And it's really about, did she do this? If she did do this, did they do their job to prove she did this? And if she didn't do this, what actually happened to Officer John O'Keefe? So I don't know. I'm kind of getting frustrated with that. I want them to be like, okay, I see this and I see that, but I still think this, you know? That's where I'm at with it. So the first guy comes in, and this is Nicholas Bradford from the Bodie Tech place. He is the one who is testing the hair. He's the second person to test the hair. It's weird though because they put him on first. So if you guys were involved in any of the pre-trial stuff, there was like this whole thing about this hair. The hair was tested by the Massachusetts State Lab and came back like undetermined whether it was human or not human. Then they sent this hair out to this other place, which we know is now Bodie Tech, and the defense was like, no, you guys can't try to bring this in last minute. Like, that's bullshit. It was at like one of the very last pre-trial hearings. Ultimately, it obviously did end up coming in. We're hearing about it, but so he's just they go through a lot of things that have to do with DNA, and not maybe at one point, if you guys are interested, we can kind of go through like the DNA process in like more detail. I kind of refer everybody back to a live I did. It's in my Idaho 4 playlist. If you guys are really interested in DNA and what the differences are, why certain pieces are used or not used, it's in the Idaho 4 playlist under the IGG, which is the Investigative Genetic Genealogy. I put it there because I was talking about that case at the time, but it covers the different types of DNA, why they choose to test the different types of DNA, and and how they utilize the STRs versus the SNPs and what investigative genetic genealogy is. So if it is something that interests you, I highly suggest you go back and watch that live, because it's so in depth. And obviously people get kind of bored when they're sitting there on the stand talking about it. So final thing here is that they send this piece of hair to him. He does an extra step to be able to get this profile from the hair. The profile that he is testing of John's was already created at MSP and is sent to him. So he's comparing a pre-made profile of John to this hair, and it's a match. I don't really think that's quite a big deal. I don't find it to be that big of a deal. So here she is. So she's the one who ends up coming in and actually doing the mitochondrial part of the DNA and matching it with a 95% confidence. And this is test chart also with both. So they're kind of working together and utilizing these additional tools to figure it out. Ultimately, the bottom line is the hair ends up being John's. So I don't think that's a big deal. I'm not of the belief that it's planted. I think it was probably stuck there already, and then with the weather, it was like compacted down. Or just stuck to it. I mean, it's not surprising if it already had something sticky. I'm also not of the belief that I care that there's a hair there. I don't care that his hair is found on his girlfriend's car that's typically parked in his garage. That's where I'm at with it. It doesn't really matter to me. So, but she did a good job. The other piece that they test is they have these, the tail light piece that there's a swab of that they are given, and they're testing that, and it comes back to having 3 contributors. So in the 3 contributors, they find John's. So John's DNA is on the tail light. So not to be confused, it is John's hair, and John's DNA is on the tail light of his girlfriend's car that is typically in his garage. Not a big deal at all. Now, there's another 2 contributors, which ironically, in my opinion, is why I think they went and had Buchanan and Proctor go get tested, because it's like, okay, shit, there is these other 2. This is going to come up. So they are both excluded and are not the other 2 contributors. The problem here comes to that we don't know who the other contributors are, but they could be anybody who walks by it, and it could be anybody, but we don't know who they are. And they don't try to figure that out. We just know that the tail light has his DNA. Now, every time we talk about DNA, I just want you guys to pay close attention to something that I don't know, and I don't know if anybody's even talked about it yet, but they never ever talk about the damn source of the DNA. Now, that is one of the most important things, in my opinion, when they're trying to prove that she hit him with her vehicle and cut up his arm. That her vehicle cut up his arm. Specifically, that tail light is part of why they blame the vehicle for cutting the arm. There should be some type of source. Nobody has asked any of these people what was the source of the DNA. They just know it's got DNA. That's it. That means it could be so many different types of DNA. We don't know exactly what type of DNA or what source of that DNA is on there. That is problematic. If they want to try, I mean, and this also could come to, does the jury understand that they're not sourcing the DNA? And this was when I said I'm going to bring this up later, my only issue with why they didn't cross any of these people, because they could have simply asked them, what was the source of the DNA? And if they don't know, that's a problem. But I tell you guys too, like, attorneys don't ask questions they don't already know the answers to. So in thinking of it like that, do they know that the source of it is blood? And because Lolly fucks up and doesn't ask that, they're like, well, we're not going to ask that because we know the answer is blood. Because I always try to think, like, why don't the attorneys ask specific types of things? And I'm like, well, if they already know that it is blood and Lolly didn't make it very clear to the jury that it was, I think that's an issue. But maybe the jury doesn't understand. They just think, oh, there is DNA means there is blood. All right. Well, hi, everybody that just came over. Hi, Shiraz. Hi, Sleuthy. So they're still unknown, and we're on spots where his blood was on his clothes. So we'll go, yeah, that's different. We haven't got there. We're just talking about the taillight right now. Hello, Spring. Hello, Spring. I think the DNA is all nothing except for the defense on the unknown on the clothes, although it could be nothing either. But Lolly should have not used that like that without knowing. So I'm going to give you my opinion. I don't know how much at this point the jury even listens to Lolly. I would be curious. I would be curious, like, how much they're even giving any weight to what he says at all at this point. Or are they still sitting there taking their jobs very seriously, which is very possible. They could be. I don't know. I think Proctor really screwed Lolly over. So do you mean that it logically should be blood DNA as opposed to touch DNA? Yes. Logically, if this car hits him and cuts him up, there should be blood. But nobody clarifies that there is. Okay, so moving on from these two, so that's kind of their combination of things. Now, here's Andre Porto, who he is the one who was actually doing the testing in the MSP lab. And like I said, they had this hair that was tested, but then it didn't come up with, they didn't know if it was human or not, so they ended up sending that hair on to figure out what it was. I thought this guy said it was touch. Which guy? This guy? Which guy, Sleuthy? One of the guys, Lolly asks him, like, he doesn't ask him a specific source, but he does say that DNA is possible to come in forms like that. Nobody ever clarifies. Not that I caught. If you guys caught it, yeah, the Bode guy, that guy. If you guys caught it, where they specifically said any particular item, the source of a particular item, I didn't hear that. I heard an overall question where Lolly asks him, like, DNA can come from, like, somebody just, like, touching or passing by. It might have been, are you sure it was that guy? It might have been this guy, because I think that he was asked even about the clothing, but it could have been the other guy. I don't remember specifically. I had two observant lawyers in the gallery today, and I'm looking forward to hear their observations of the jury. I'm wondering how much they were paying attention to the jury. All right. Hold on, let me see what he said here. Yeah, I'm not either. I know it was one of them that was asked. I just don't know. I don't remember which one. They all kind of ran together, and they all had the same, it was all the same concept, so I wasn't overly worried about it. Mazza Media was there earlier this week, and he said even Judge Bev is bored with Lolly. I don't know how, I don't think he's very impartial, but I do enjoy him. His vid online, but not personally. Oh yeah, from John Bonet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why we've always heard it's either the manufacturer or it could be something else. Okay, so this is the guy from Mass Lab. So he has all the evidence essentially first, and he goes through. So his is probably the most important in the processing of things. And I'm not going to go through each one of these, but essentially what he's saying is he's testing different portions. And you guys have access to this. So if anybody actually wanted to like sit down and look at my notes, you guys are welcome to. I don't know if I have it in the description, but I know I have it in the chat, and it just updates every day anyway. So you guys are welcome to this, or you can just screenshot it, whatever, if you want, if you even want it. I don't even know if you're interested in it. So they don't do mitochondrial DNA testing at this lab, so that's why they send it out to the other lab. The swab from the tail light was the 3-person mixture, which is the one that they sent to the other lab. They processed the hair and they found no human DNA to be detected. So here's your pieces on why they sent those out to this Bodhi technology. They sampled the glass, the piece of glass from the bumper, and there was no DNA on it. They sampled glass from the drinking glass. The drinking glass had 3 contributors. John was included. We don't know who the other 2 are. One of the stains from John's jeans, 3 contributors. 2, they wouldn't have been able to tell who it was. John's included. So that's why I said I don't want to go through each of these, but essentially from every single item that he's testing, there is multiple contributors to the majority of them, John being one of them, the other ones either being not identifiable because the sample would not be good enough to identify in their lab, or they just don't identify them. But this comes to the jeans, it comes to the gray jacket, it comes to the shoe, it comes to the glass, the actual drinking glass. The orange shirt is really one of the only things that only ends up having John's DNA on it. My problem with this is twofold. One, the prosecutor essentially just proved that John's DNA is on John's clothes. Like, good job. You went through all of this and you proved that John's DNA is on John's clothes. Now, let me just ask you guys, if you're the investigator in the case, okay? You're the investigator and you believe that Karen Reed backed up into John O'Keefe with her vehicle. What information are you looking to gather from the clothing of John O'Keefe? You're the investigator now. What would you want to be tested on here? Like, why are we testing this? If I think that John's death is caused by a vehicle, am I looking for like Lexus DNA? Like, what am I looking for by testing all of this? What do I want? Hi, Greenlee. Is anybody gonna? I don't know if that's just a delay, or is anybody gonna tell me what you guys would want as an investigator? Do you just want to know what I would be looking for to see if other people's DNA is on there? You'd be looking for pieces of the vehicle, okay? But if you're looking, this is a DNA guy. So what is he looking for? Why would he be looking for anything? I think that the culprit is a vehicle. Other peeps in the house DNA shows orange shirt didn't get washed. Other items did because of Chloe and others' DNA. So here's kind of my thought process on this. If I am the investigator and I'm thinking that there is already this conclusion, like people think Proctor has this conclusion, right? Of she hit him with this vehicle. I don't need to test his clothing for DNA, except for if I'm trying to show an alternate theory, right? Like if otherwise the vehicle isn't going to leave its DNA on there. So if I'm going to take the time to have all of these items tested for all of this DNA, who am I comparing it against? The Lexus doesn't have DNA. So am I just trying to prove that John's DNA is on John's clothing? You see what I mean? Like, how does that make sense? Why am I testing this if I'm not trying to actually show that there are other contributors than John? So who am I testing it against? So this all gets sent to this DNA guy who is going through and doing all this testing. And he's like, yeah, great. Here's all John's clothes. John's DNA is on all of his clothes. And there's all these other people's DNA on the clothes, but I don't care whose DNA it is. This guy can't go out and get the samples. So somebody is wanting to know who else's DNA is on here, but nobody bothers to go get it. This made me think of, remember the lab chick, and I think it was Hartman, but don't quote me on that, Maureen Hartman, who said that she was looking for animal DNA because somebody told her that it was a potential dog bite. Like, I want to know who the cop is that told her that. I want to know who the cop is that's requesting the DNA to be done on these while I'm looking for other contributors. For me, this means that there is somebody in this investigation who does think that there's a possibility that there is this dog bite, that there is this other fight. There's somebody who's requesting all of that. I think it was because the defense brought it up. Okay, but here still the defense would have its own experts that could do a test. They don't have to because the burden's not on them. But still, even if the defense brought it up that there's these other contributors, now you're in trouble. Because if I am the prosecutor and I'm on the side of, oh shit, the defense is going with the third party. If the defense is going with this third party, I need to prove that there is no third party DNA that matches any of these people in the house. Instead, what they did was they went and got Yuri Buchanan's and Michael Proctor's DNA to show it wasn't one of the ones on the tail light, which is what they ended up sending to Bodie Technology. My question is, who wanted them to find DNA on the clothing? And then why didn't they ever follow up to figure out who these other people were? Because if I'm only running that based on the defense having a third party theory, then I need to figure out who these people are. Otherwise, I literally just proved the case showing, look, there are 2, 3 other people on all these outer items of clothing. I just proved the defense theory that there is other people's DNA on the clothes. So I'd have to go the next step and say, okay, here we go. Do you see what I mean? To me, it seems like there's somebody initially who was thinking there's something that needs to be looked at. And then somebody stopped it. That's where I'm at with it. The shoe had 5 contributors. Yeah. Someone who is now our Click, Ferenczi, and Murphy. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's what I'm wondering. Otherwise, why am I testing it like this? Why am I testing it, getting the answers that the defense technically wants, and then not doing anything with that information to prove the defense is wrong? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm hoping that makes sense. If it doesn't and it's confusing, I'll try it again. So somebody tell me, like, no, fuck that, Teresa. You don't make no sense. My third-party theory is Jen's daughter. Oh, really? Huh. Some dumbass because you test the people they are accusing, and then you can maybe say he picked something up at the bar. Right. If I'm the defense and I'm blaming Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and Brian Higgins, wouldn't it be best to probably rule those 3 people out and say, look, like they're not, if they carried this dude out and they beat the shit out of him, where's their DNA? So just that was my observation of what was happening here. I'm like, why are we even doing any of this? Why would the lab even be doing any of this without any other person to compare it to? That's where I was stuck at. If I'm trying to prove that they didn't do it, why am I comparing? This could, I mean, through other contributors, it could have easily been the other people that were touching him on the ground. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I would have ruled it out, but that's where I'm at with it. And they did not do that. Yeah, the clothes had vomit on them. Blood and vomit would not be so pliable. They washed to get the dog germs off. Did all the items have J.O.'s DNA? Shoes looked clean, in my opinion. I don't know. The shoes looked good to me. Yeah, but that was only to match against that tail light that had 3 contributors because they were blaming them on actually framing them. I think so. I think they'll use it. But there's unknown DNA. Now, do they know? That's why I said also pay attention to the fact that they don't cross because they don't have any questions. Do they already know the answer? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Oh, man, where'd her picture go? Oh, no. I lost Jessica Hyde's photo. Okay, so DB's here, so I know that he will know way more about this than I do. But I'm just going to touch on it anyway. Like I said, we're on a time constraint, so I'm trying to smash everything into smaller sections and just give you my thoughts on each person's info. And if you have different thoughts, by all means, share. Touching him on the ground while Jen was calling repeatedly to find his phone. I remember watching the hearing about this, cannot seek to remember everything about it. Yeah. Hey, Percocet. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Gilletta. I think Shu got drugged to curb when J.O. got carried to the ambulance. Oh, that's interesting because the place that they found... Oh, shit. I never did end up pulling that up for you guys. See, I get sidetracked and I forget stuff. Hold on. Do I actually have it right here? Let me see. And Sleuthy and I were talking about this too, about the place that they clear off the, this berm. Okay, so here's the photo of the shoe. I know you guys might not be able to see it. Here's the shoe. You see the shoe in here? There's your shoe, right? Here's your flagpole. Here's your shoe. Here's Officer Saraf's car. This photo is from Sergeant Good's car. Wouldn't the shoe be right here? Like right where they're all walking around? I mean, I don't have it on video. We just have the picture. And this isn't mine. Somebody else put this together. Just an FYI. I'd like to give credit to whoever it was, but I don't know who it was. But here's Saraf's car. The shoe would be right here. Well before this major amount of snow. 4 to 6 inches of snow was on the ground. 4 to 6 inches of snow was on the ground. Almost every cop that was there that morning testified to 4 to 6 inches. The women essentially testified to 4 to 6 inches. Here's the flagpole. Here's your shoe. They're all walking right here. The shoe is bigger than 4 to 6 inches. It'd be sticking out. They'd know where it was. I do think it might be possible that the shoe was lost on the way to the ambulance. So, I don't know. I just found that kind of weird. Shoe, flagpole, car, ambulance would have been here. Let me see if I have that. I think it's actually Microdots Recreation, but I don't know if I even have it up anymore. Let me see. Everything takes so long to load now. All right. Well, if it does load, then I'll bring it up. Easy for any of them to lose a shoe that morning. I just think it's. I mean, that's obviously the same area. I don't know how nobody would have seen it. Hey, John, they cleared that area with snow blower and we're down to the grass, right? And they were. This is where his body was. So they would have, this is where they supposedly find this cup, right? I don't think I saved any of the maps from today's guy because I thought they were shit. So, hey, Kel. Damn you, YouTube. Catastrophe, S. Luthi, I'm everywhere. Well, not Lisk. Ah, man. I don't know. I'm spending some nights down the rabbit holes of Lisk. So be prepared, everybody. Be prepared. Hours, days later. So the shoe is logged that it's found that evening by the CERT team. But I'm just thinking you have that much less snow and you don't see the shoe. Just odd. Okay, so let's get to Jessica Hyde. I heard and read multiple different. Is it true his socks were inside out? The man who was OCD about things, were his socks inside out? I didn't think they were. Let me look. I have that photo. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on Miss Jessica Hyde. I think that I thought she was. I actually liked her. I think she's a nerd. She's like the epitome of a nerd. But she could tell she just loves her. She loves her data. She loves her numbers. She's like, oh yeah, that's a good question. Oh yeah, I like that one. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. I was like, okay, I don't find it that enjoyable, but obviously you love your data, so go for it. Okay, here, hold on. This is Microdots recreation. Oh shoot, it doesn't have that one. Let me see, does this one? No, wrong one. Oh, I guess I don't have that. Okay, what was the other thing I just said I had? Oh, the socks. I don't recall them being inside out. I don't even know if I actually looked. I think I was paying more attention to the clothing on the floor than socks themselves. Okay, I legit, when I was just looking through the pictures to find that one, I literally had it, and now I don't know what the hell I did with it. What the fudge, Teresa? What the fudge did I just do? It's probably because now I want it, now I won't know where it is. All right, well, when I'm not looking for it, I'll end up finding it. Yeah, this is a really good visual. Why has nobody talked about vomit on the boxers yet? Buchanan said that all the clothes had vomit and a vomit smell to them. So, I don't know. Take a look at Fox Hollow Farm, Westville, Indiana, and look how close it is to Monon Trail. By the way, Indiana is number 6 on states with most serial killers. Oh, Jesus, Jelena, is it really? Okay, let me write that down. Fox Hollow. Fox Hollow and from Westville, Indiana. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Hey, R&M. What did Catastrophe say? I thought the same thing. Oh, about the boxers? They didn't even show the boxers. Bring me the ME. All right, I'm gonna take a look one more time, just skim these and see if I can find that picture, because that's just fucking irritating. I'm like, I literally just saw it and then I just lose it. I'm like, why does my brain do that? Oh, there it is. See? His socks aren't inside out. They look normal. Do you guys think they are? So that's the clothing on the floor. I can't believe we are this far into the trial without the ME. Both are on top, right? The line is supposed to be on the bottom? How do you wear your socks? They're a little twisted. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, there's socks. Both logos are on the inside. Adidas don't do that. His right sock is upside down. Okay, thank you, C-Dub. Yeah, I don't know. They looked fine to me. Maybe I'm wrong. This whole trial is defending the family that lived there. Point blank. They're dying on that hill and it's being seen. It really is. I mean, I think that's kind of the whole thing, is like the whole purpose of her testimony is to go over the 227 search, the Google search having to do with how's long to die in cold. The Jen McCabe says she didn't make it until 6:23 in the morning or 6:24 in the morning. And the defense says that she essentially saw it at night, or she did not do it at night. No, he just has them on the wrong feet. The logos should be on the outside. There's not two logos. Microdots has done a great job. Vomit on the boxers, but nowhere else. Well, like I said, we were in testimony. It says that there is vomit on all of the clothing. That the clothing smelled like vomit and had vomit on it. We did not. Nobody really ever showed us or proved that to us. But nobody ever said it wasn't true either. Like nobody on the defense was like, nah, that's not true. But I keep going back to Yannetti said, just wait for us. You'll be happy that you did. Or you'll be glad that you did. Don't just make a decision right off the bat. Like let us have our chance. Let us have our time. Oh, we were talking about the curb. I'm sorry, I went into a sentence there about me and Sleuthy were talking about this curb and that berm. And is that berm the area that they cleared with their shoe, that Sergeant Good cleared with his shoe, the same area that they ended up finding the shoe in? Ironically, he clears with his shoe. Okay, I think I covered all my thoughts that I stopped in the middle of. Someone want to tell me why in February 2023, when they did the reconstruction, and it was in 2023, not 2022, they did it at Canton Police Department, indicating that her car was still there. DB knows the kind of socks. All right, let me go back to the dang socks. Are they on the wrong feet? Is that what the issue is they're on the wrong feet? Do you think he cares? Do you think that somebody else did that? I mean, I'm just wondering, like, he's a guy. Do you think you think he paid attention to that he put the socks on the wrong feet? I don't know. Like, is that something that you pay attention to? I think that he probably doesn't care. I appreciate. We've investigated the socks now. DB has now told us the brand. He probably knows the purchase date, how many came in the package. He probably told us that already. I saw outside, but I can't find that specific post. He was meticulous, though. Meticulous about, but there's socks. And he's got pants on. Wait, you do, DB? I wear left and right socks every day. They feel very weird on the wrong foot. I do not care. I definitely do care about my socks. It's weird, but I can't help it. So it's like, I do care. I do care. He was OCD to no shoes in his house. So you think there's no way he's going to be walking around with his socks on the wrong feet? And because he would see it in his house, he'd know. Very OCD. See, I hate socks. I don't even want to wear socks. So maybe that's my issue here is I'm like, would I care? But I don't have left and right socks. How many of you guys own left and right socks? Like when you buy a pack of socks, don't they just, I mean, they're just socks. Your son puts on one white sock and one black sock? I mean, back in the day, I used to wear like the fluorescent ones, the scrunchy ones, and we push them down. Yeah. They're fitted. I learned something new every day. I know. I never would have noticed that. Never would have thought like the sock is specific for your right foot. Why? Some socks can be made specifically for the left or the right. Well, what would we do if the guy had on like two right socks? Like, would we really just like lose our shit? I have one pair of socks. I don't wear shoes much. I can't stand socks. I could never wear mismatched socks. King Charles wears right and left socks. Oh, the arch support. Maybe his laundry wasn't good. Maybe his laundry wasn't good at putting them together. I still think the socks are nothing. My 11-year-old daughter refuses to wear matching socks. I don't own one pair of socks, but I live at the beach. I live close to the beach. I do own socks, but they're not. I definitely would never go like, let me get me some specialized lefty righty socks. Where's Sleuthy? Did she leave? I need to know if Sleuthy wears left and right socks. R&M, what about you? You wear Mama Bear? Maybe I just read that one. It's all fancy schmancy. It's like the royalty. Criminal, you might become a sock person if you get right and left specific. Maybe that's my problem. All of us who don't have socks, maybe we need to try the righties and the lefties and see if that changes how we feel about them. Now you sound like Turtle Boy. Like all of this doesn't prove anything about the 2:27 a.m. search. I have 3 kids. We rarely have matching socks. Luckily, we all wear the same size. It is. We're in the middle of Sockgate. Who put the socks on the wrong feet? I doubt he took off his socks and then they had to put his socks back on and then they don't know it. All right. We'll have to do a whole episode on Sockgate. Yeah, C-Dub, great. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry I started all of this. Hashtag Sockgate. Okay, so on to Jessica Hyde. Like I was saying, I've heard a lot of mixed reactions about her. I actually thought I liked her. I was like, okay, she the information is very confusing. So I try to look at this 2 ways. If I'm somebody who's sitting on the jury who's like me and doesn't know any of this kind of stuff, does what she's saying resonate with me? Like, do I understand it? Can I can I break this down? Is this important? Do I think this is important? Do I even care? And then I try to think of it like, okay, if I'm somebody like DB who's on the jury and I'm like, okay, I get exactly what she's saying and this totally makes sense. Like, does it change what I'm thinking? Does it change whether she's innocent or guilty? Does this search, what does this search ultimately do for the case? So for me, I don't know all of this type of stuff. This is not my forte. I walked away with the fact that I will not be able to repeat anything that she said, unlike the DNA stuff, which I know much more about. I ultimately think that this search happened. It happened, and I'm going to tell you why I think it happened. And then anybody who is way more into the tech stuff that wants to tell me what an idiot I am, please feel free. Well, only about this, not just about everything in life. That's just mean. But so there's this search that happens at 2:27. Then there's the search at 6:22 that is the recommended to digest food search. Then there's the 6:23, the how long to die with the TI and the something with the K. I don't remember exactly how it was spelled, but something with the K in the cold. And then there's the 6:24, how long to die in cold. So I don't understand how this search takes over for this search, but that this search did not. So I'm still of the opinion that I believe that it happened, because I can't imagine how, even with the understanding that this is a wall file and trying to make sense of that, she'd have to specifically go in and open one of these windows that she'd had open from before. It doesn't take over. Okay, DB, can you, if I send you the link, can you come up, can you give us the 5th grade version in and not the same, not her version? Like, can you give us the 5th grade version? Hold on, let me pull up Discord. I'll send you the link, because I know that's going to be way hard to explain in chat. But for me, I'm like, that if you're typing over one, then this one should be typing over this one, which should have typed over this one. And then if you swipe it away and it says deleted, then all of it's gone. That's where I'm at with it. So just give me a second. I'm going to send DB the link. Okay, we'll give you a sec. One. Let me see what the questions are. She said a whole lot for her scope to be so limited. Right. She didn't do a full forensic analysis. She was only able to examine the theory. The 227 had a different file number. Correct. I get that part, but I still don't get, I'm talking about the physical use of having the phone. If I pull up my Safari to search, right, and I have these little tabs that are all over, I have to specifically pick an old one to make that look the same. And I absolutely get that she doesn't have the context of everything else. She was only looking at that. And that's exactly what Yannetti went up there and did. And he was straight to the point. And I thought he did a great job of saying, like, you weren't even able to look at the rest of it. They only allowed you to look at this. Essentially, why are they keeping everything else from you and only wanting you to look at this? Why didn't they have you look at the rest of her activity? What about all the stuff that was deleted that she's saying she didn't delete? Why did they only want you to look specifically at that? And if you had seen that, what would it have changed about this? So Yannetti came in at the end and made it and dumbed it down enough that it was like, yeah, why are you only looking at that? But for me, as somebody who doesn't understand this, I'm like, yeah, she's the co-creator of that technology. Yeah. She did. She kept saying 247. And I was like, girl, you're pretty on this. Why do you keep bringing up 247? I'm going for kindergarten. Some of them 4th and 5th graders have me beat. Well, on tech, they probably do. Hey, PCM says, my iPhone 15 Google search for how long to die in cold give me hypothermia, not digesting food. I think it's how long, and then it suggested like how long, and then it says like to digest food was like the recommendation. It's definitely a sales pitch. She wouldn't commit to a timestamp on any one given search. But there were 3 different searches at 3 different times. Yes. Well, yes. There's 227, which matches the 624 search, and then there's the 623 that's on its own, which is why I can't get past that. Like, so so for me, at the end of the day, even if she's right, okay, DB's here. Hey, DB, thank you. Too much info to process and respond to honestly. Yeah, it was a lot. Steph B, what's up? Thank you for breaking this down for us.
Hello there.
Hi. Thank you for coming on here.
Hey, no problem. Happy to be here.
Okay.
So
give me the elementary school version of what the hell I'm looking at.
Okay, so number one,
are you cutting out for anybody else, or is it just me? I think you're muted yourself. So DB was like coming. He's like, I'm going to tell you guys everything. No, I'm not. The trickery. People that talk very fast with a ton of confidence are out to pull one over on you. Never trust them. Well, I think that she absolutely believes in what she was saying. I think that she sees it this way, but I don't know if I don't think she sold it to the jury in any which way. So I don't think they're going to walk away with anything. It's the words she was searching that I think are crucial and suspicious. Dying in the cold and food digestion. Those things determine time of death. That's true. That is true. Now, if the other, that's the other thing, though, is he doesn't actually refer to either of them as experts. He doesn't have them qualified as experts. He has them go over their education, but they don't say, they never qualify as experts. But if the person testifying on behalf of the defense can show that that is not a recommended search, I think you'd have a great point. Hey, all eyes on Delphi. Okay, DB's back. Let's try it again. All right, how's it now? You're muted. Okay, so give him a sec. Now I'm... Okay, so give him just a second. He'll be back. Now I lost all the chat, though. Okay. After his trash experts today, how dare Lolly challenge the defense experts? Can you imagine what Lolly's going to sound like on a cross-examination? I don't know how he's going to... There's still part of me, and I always say this, like, and there's a part of me that I'm like, I feel bad for Lolly. Like, this is a lot that he put on his own plate, or that his boss put on his plate. Like, why doesn't he have anybody helping him? Like, he had the other lawyer doing, like, the arguing of the motion, but why isn't anybody helping do any of this? Like, some of these witnesses, he doesn't need to be doing all of them. I was a much younger bitch when this trial began. I was saying that before you came in, R&M. I was like, I think today I was, towards the middle of the day, I was just at the point where I'm like, why the fuck am I even listening to this trial anymore? Like, that's where I was at. I was like, this is so bad. All right, let's see. You ready?
hello there.
Welcome back.
Hey, everybody.
Sir.
Sorry about that. My apologies, T. I was a little tardy there. But it was I was looking all the answers up in Chat GPT before I said anything. So
Oh, Jesus.
So the number one thing I wanted to I was kind of took from that today was that I think a lot of people are getting confused that she is testifying to the entire forensic evaluation of the cell phone, which is not the case. She was not contracted to do a full touch or a full examination of the phone. She was contracted for a limited purpose based off of what Lieutenant Tully wanted her to examine once they learned what the state expert testimony was going to be about the digital forensics, which was likely that there was another database that you could look at that showed something else that interfered with what Tully's testimony was going to be about the search times.
What do you mean?
So Green, the defense expert, was saying that the 227 time of the search was accurate because if you looked at these right ahead log records that showed the browser response, the browser refreshing or opening or closing, basically some type of event in the browser, that one could assume that because the browser had an event that's when that search occurred, which would have been before the 6 a.m. time. So then she testifies, right? Go ahead.
Okay, but no, you keep going. Keep going. I'm listening.
So then she testifies that when she looked at this database, this browser specific database, that there was a browser event at 2:27, and that tab was either opened or closed or moved around, and that would have created a log in the entry in the log for 2:27, right? But she was not talking about the browsing history. She wasn't talking about search history there. She was only talking about that one tiny specific database that is a hardware level database on the phone. So it logs what's happening with the phone, but it's not an internet type of like you can't get the information from Google because she was only testifying to what was in this database, which is a very, very small. Like for those of you who don't know how databases work or a phone, like you may think, well, she has the phone's database and she has the Celebrite extraction. That should be everything, right? Right, but if you put everything together, all the little databases that interact together, you will have the entire image of the phone. But when you're only looking at one specific little thing, which is the browser database on a hardware level, it's only going to log those actions and events. And so she wasn't able to actually go and look at the entire phone. And I think that doesn't necessarily hurt Karen's case that much.
Okay, so can you break it down for me? Like, give me an example. Like I will understand when you mean like, so she's only looking at this piece of information from the hardware.
Well, yeah.
Not
So she
from. Give me like, can you give me like a real life version of what you're talking about? Like, give me an example of where I could understand it.
Okay, so that's another thing that I think is a little bit under explained in general with this technical side of criminal trials, is people will say, well, can you break it down for me? And I think that is totally a great question, but there's just a level of sophistication that sometimes it's very, very, very difficult to communicate because you're thinking of these examples, and like she used Excel for an example for a database. Like that's something that maybe people can understand more, but even when she used the Panda search example, she was trying to like create a real life example that somebody could understand, but it was still wrong. And so
it didn't make sense to me.
No, there's just a level of complication to this where it's difficult to explain it. But we can always like try to think of like a scenario. So for me, the way I could look at it is like you have two events that can occur. One event A can sometimes occur when event B occurs, right? And she looked at whether or not, or she looked at the log and every event that occurred when on item A, right? And she didn't say that A and B have a direct causal relationship to one another, but once A has an event, it is possible that B has an event at the same exact time. So when she's talking about that browser, like Safari, the refresh, it's being restored. Oftentimes what you'll see right there is somebody performing the search in the browser right there. But
Right.
because her theory is that she performed the search later, then that browser refresh that event was only that browser being created and not necessarily the search refreshing onto that browser date. So like she's testifying to something different than what a lot of people are thinking she's testifying to, because she's only talking about what's physically on the phone in the hard drive on the storage side, not in the cloud, not her browsing history, because that's all in the cloud, right? She's only saying the phone, Apple, and the Safari browser is logging this into a file, and you can look at that file and it will tell you every time there's an event in this app, which would be like you're opening or closing a tab. Because when you open or close a tab in Safari, you could do that without the internet. You don't have to be connected to the internet for that. So your phone is actually logging it and saving it, so it knows how many tabs are open. So it knows how many tabs to render the next time, or how many tabs to show you the next time you open your Safari app, right? You don't need the internet for that. So the search itself would have been a browser history thing. And because she didn't see that browser history showing that there was an event or there was an actual search query, she's just saying she doesn't see a relationship between those two things.
Okay.
So, is that not explain like I'm 5 enough for people? Because
some people in chat are getting it. I'm not.
Okay.
No, you're doing fine, because like I said, some people in chat are getting it. I'm not. So I'm going to try to break it down for what I think, and then you're going to tell me where I'm wrong.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to think of like how I could, like somebody's like, I need a picture and a crayon. I kind of want something like that. Like I want some visual thing to try to help me along here. Okay, so I'm just gonna pretend. You know what? I'm gonna go to a blank one of these. Okay, yeah, so here's like the one that I have ready for Monday. So here's my phone. Okay, we're just gonna say this is my phone, and I go in and I'm like, okay, here we go. I open my window. Here is my pink orange window is my Safari tab, and I'm like, okay, let's look up some basketball. Right? Okay, here's basketball, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't really need that anymore, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna delete this whole thing, but I can't delete it because it's stuck on my hard drive, right?
Okay,
but now
you're on the right track. Can I just add something really quick?
Yes, go absolutely.
This is another thing that I think people get confused by. You said delete. You cannot delete a tab, right? You can only close a tab or open a tab or restore a tab. So if you delete a tab,
delete tabs.
Can you on Safari?
Oh, I don't know if it's on Safari. I think it might be on Google Chrome.
Well, you could close tabs, but if you delete a tab, there's no right button.
Okay, hold on. Let's go this way. All right, hold on. Let me stop this. Okay, so like I don't think I even have Safari, but like, so I don't know if you guys can see this or not. So here's like Google. So I have like this little button up here that's got like all these different tabs. You see that? Okay, so I'm just going to go through and I'm going to close them out like that.
Yep.
Are you saying
Yeah,
that that's the kind of tab that she's talking about?
Yes.
So I'm not deleting the tab, I'm closing the tab, but the hard
Exactly.
drive still understands that those are my tabs.
Well, if you
So-
close the tab, it knows that you just closed it, so it's not going to show it the next time you open Safari or whatever
Okay.
browser you're using. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Water
so
Love
you're
and
saying
Dog.
that
When
this
you
is what-
X,
this is kind of. Go ahead.
exactly. So Water Love and Dog says when you X out of a tab on Safari, it's not deleted. That's right. That's when you're talking about something this specific, as in like digital forensics. You need to be very intentional with your language, because when you say delete, you could be talking about erasing the record or clearing something. And when you say close, that's not a forensic countermeasure. Closing a tab is not a forensic countermeasure. However, deleting something could be considered a forensic countermeasure, right? You want to delete something so that they can't see it. So if you close a tab, you're only closing what you can see, and that record is still being stored. So if you're being technical, which this kind of topic requires, you want to say you're closing it, not necessarily deleting it.
Okay, well, here's my issue, is that when it's pulled, that search literally says it's deleted. So if you look at it like from a Celebrite report, it's like I went in to Google, like, and I Google how's long to die in the cold, and then I go back up, and I can go in and I can look at like my past history here, and I can hold that down and I can delete it. And I just deleted my previous search. And that's what it comes up as. So explain why it's coming up like that, but you're saying it's from the hard drive and it's from this file. Like, I cannot wrap my mind around it. Why does Celebrite say something is deleted? Like, it's a specific search that's deleted. Here's my search. I just deleted it. But it's now confusing with these wall files, which are those little tabs like I was showing, which would mean I'd have to go back into one of those tabs to do that search. That doesn't, I can't compute that.
Okay, so very simple explanation. When they say that something was deleted, okay, so I read the affidavit that I think that Green is going to testify to, the defense expert, and from my understanding, the language he used was not deleted. He used it was restored, and I'm trying to pull that up right now, but the affidavit up. Because
sorry, we're women and we don't understand.
Oh no.
Well, this lady on the stand totally would get it. She'd be like, "Oh, DB, let me tell you the 5,000 reasons of how this works." She gets it. I don't.
Yeah, and
I just don't.
I think the reason why I think they didn't cross her for that long is because she was extremely, extremely credible, and it would have been a horrible idea for them to try to go back. She could have just dropped like 5 words that she said and just confused them. Like, it's just how people. It's just the barrier that's in place with these types of things. But I'm gonna find this.
Okay.
Affidavit.
I'm gonna pull this back up. Because then I have more questions. Is there any way we can see a recreation of what the CW is saying Jen McCabe did using an iPhone on screen? Because I still don't understand. I don't know is there a way to do that? I don't think there is. Like,
yeah, I mean,
is there a way
if you had a Mac.
Make an iPhone? Oh, I ain't got no Mac. Hey, Dan, look, Dan shows up. Dan's got Macs. He's got a brand new Mac. Yeah, he does.
He's swinging that Mac around out there.
Yeah, he is. He's like, I got a new Mac. I don't know how to use it. Okay. I still don't think I get it. I'm still confused on the fact that how does one search become that same search, but there's a search in between there? I think it's going to still be. Whitfield wrote a blog about it, T. It's still online. Let me go see if I can find that, Disney. Nothing. We were talking about that we could probably do something if we had a Mac, but I don't have a Mac. You do.
Yeah, so she kind of Hyde kind of explains how she did that test. And as soon as she started talking about that, I was like, oh God, here comes the sidebar. And boom, they sidebarred it. I think that there was some concern over her talking about her testing criteria. But basically what she was doing was trying to prove that what she's seen was what her theory of the events were. And I think what she did was probably appropriate to recreate that. So I feel like I feel like maybe the defense would have been helped by looking at her tests. But her explanation, I come off believing that if I do a search in a tab I opened a month ago, my data would say I did it last month. Yes, it would. Well, I don't know about last month because tabs will go to sleep depending on your settings, like, and you'll have to restore them, and that would be an event. But what she's saying is that that tab existed, and then they did a search for whatever the sports website was, and then
Right.
Then they got out of the tab, did something else, and that log showed that that tab had an event at 2:27, probably that sports search or whenever it was opened, and then later there was a search in the browsing history that showed this actual search, which was how's long to die in cold.
Okay. I still don't understand how this 624 search is the exact same as the 227 search, and there's a different search in the middle. How is that search not also on that tab or wall file? That's my number one question, and I'm going to ask the second one, otherwise I'm going to forget it. My next one is, how is, I think I may have already forgotten.
Okay, well, I can answer,
Answer that one, and I'll think of the other one.
Okay, so with that search, I said how's long to die in cold. I meant how long to die in cold. Whatever the the next one was. So the reason why that's the 227 search exists is because the defense has told you it exists based off from the refresh of the browser. So their theory is that that search at 227 occurred, and then she deleted the browsing history for it, and it would not be able to be recovered. But there was a 2:27 a.m. refresh of the browser, the Safari, and it made it. And their theory is that refresh was her searching how long to die in CK, so the 623 search. And that's why I'm trying to find that affidavit again, because it was it explained it very well.
Okay. So then my next question, which I now remember, is if this House Long to Die in Cold is done on this same wall file as this 2:27 a.m. search, and this one shows deleted, why doesn't this one show deleted?
Okay,
Wouldn't they both have the same thing if it's on the same wall file?
So that's what I originally started looking for this for, because I think that the language they used was that it was restored. And I think that is a little bit of a, I don't want to say play on words, but it's a convenient word that is used, that Cellbrite uses when they get data from an extraction. So it's like a restored data point. So if you read it, like it's like identification. When you say identification in a toolmark case, you're saying a match, but like sometimes the language that they use is just identification without saying a match, and it sounds like they just found something that doesn't necessarily match, but it's identified. And so there, I think a little bit of it is just a little confusing sometimes.
Okay, so then bottom line, the 227 search, can it be proven that that search was not House Long to Die in Cold? Did she prove that today?
No. She proved, or her theory was that there was no deletion, and that the 227 record that she was talking about was the actual hardware internal to the phone logging a software event like Safari doing something. So Safari being open, closed, that doesn't take the internet, right? But if you do a search, that's going to be in your browsing history. So she was saying that based off of that, there was some type of event on the phone at 227, but that she did not see a browsing history event that showed the search. Does that make sense? So think about
Right.
it. So think about, there's two different main parts of your phone, right? You have what's on your phone physically, that you're touching the object that is actually storing the information, right? That's your hardware level, your physical information on your phone, right? And then it's connected to your right hand version of your phone that has the cloud information on it, right? It's just out there in the world. Your browsing information is on the cloud, right? And it's being saved there. It could be saved in a database, but on your hardware, on your phone, but it's not in the one that she's talking about. So she's just looking at the actual hardware in the phone. Oh, Sleuthy's here. Sleuthy, can you post the affidavit that the defense expert filed to? I cannot find it. I know somebody posted it on the Reddit, but
send out the goose signal.
Yeah, or the clip, whatever one.
Okay, so in your opinion, did the 227 House Long to Die in Cold search happen?
I don't know. I'm the executive burrito boy at Chipotle, so I really.
In your opinion?
I don't know, because I don't think that she even opined on that either way, because she didn't have the full breadth of her resources to actually look at it, because she only was able to look at the hardware and if this search occurred or not. So it's possible that there was another thing, another event that she didn't see based off the browsing history or another database. What do you have a forensic examination like that? You don't use just Celebrate, like she said. She used Axiom and some other software too normally, which is what she's an expert in. But she literally just was able to look at this very small database and looked at that. Yeah, and like Greenlee said, she did a limited exam for a reason, right? That reason being, that's what she was contracted to do. And so she was only able to answer the questions that were asked of her. And Lally definitely was not trying to get her to opine on whether or not it was 100% conclusive, which I actually think that the defense kind of dropped the ball on a little bit, was asking her about the probabilities, because I think that if they asked her, you can't say 100%, I think, I don't know, actually, did they ask it that way? She kind of said, I can't say 100%, but like, it's very unlikely. But I think there's another way you could have asked it to where she would have just said, no, it's not 100%. Okay, so yeah, I got that. Let me scan through this real quick.
Okay, so I have the affidavit. I'll pull it up. And then she said this clip is sending. Ah, shit. Let's get rid of some of this stuff.
You got some tabs open over there, huh?
This is only one screen. I have three screens, so
nice.
Just imagine how much shit is open on this at any given point. It's a lot.
Hey, I know how many I don't know how many windows there are in that Prezi. I can only imagine how many windows you got in this on your whole computer.
So bad. So
That
bad.
Prezi's thick. Okay, so
You want to send Jessica Hyde's report too? Send it. Send it over.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so starting here.
Give me 1 second. Sleuthy was telling Lana, I gotta say, when you laugh, I laugh. I enjoy your reactions immensely. Sleuthy, when she watches her own stream where she laughs and then she laughs at what she's laughing about, nothing tops that. That is the best. When she's laughing at herself laughing from like a long time ago, when she remembers why whatever she laughed at was so fucking funny. That's the best. Okay, sorry. Total side comment.
Oh yeah, no problem. Okay, so if you scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know where you want me to go.
Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3?
Yep.
Right here. Okay.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So just to go over some of the language here. Okay, so you see USF has received inter alia cell phone data images from 2 devices which were forensically imaged. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or cloned, whatever you want to semantics, but like what they're doing there is they're making a version of the phone that can exist and celebrate. So it has all of the databases in it and stuff like that. Okay, so just wanted to touch on that because some people are like, is it a picture? The data images have been processed and reviewed with the Celebrite physical analyzer. Okay, so they use Axiom as well. Okay, we can go down. So go to the rest of paragraph 4 and 5. Okay, so something too I want to touch on here. Sanderson SQLite Forensic Explorer. This sounds really fancy. Actually, this is just an SQLite database, which is like a database that you would use on like a side hustle when you're in college. It's an open source database and has like no license or anything. Well, it has an open source license, but it's very common. But this Explorer that she's talking about, or that Green here is talking about, and that she talked about, is just a way to look at the database without having to use code. And it sounds really fancy. The reason it says forensic is just because it's keeping it in the same state when it comes off the phone, and it's not changing the state of the database. But this is a very simple thing. And then for a software person, and then Cellhawk Analytics. I don't know as much about them, but UTC 5 time was a little confusing. I thought EST was UTC 6, but it might be a typo. So a UTC, for those of you who don't know, is just a uniform time that is used for communication with electronic devices. So it could be internet, it could be your phone, it could be a browser. It uses UTC time to make sure that there is a standardized. Hyde used the UTC 5 too. Okay, why? So yeah, it's just and so whether when you on your computer you have, the bottom right corner, you should have the time. And if you don't, you better check your computer out. And so your computer actually looks at what time it is on the hardware level, and then it communicates it back to the browser or whatever data it's interacting with, and it will say, okay, -5, +5, wherever you're at in the world. So when she talked about using the UTC time and then the Apple's hex code time, she just when she got the time from that log, it's encrypted. So she had to decrypt it into UTC time. It's kind of inconsequential if the times are all right.
This is Green. So are you talking about what Hyde did about Green stuff, or?
She explained it today. He did the same thing. Sorry.
Okay.
Yep. So
I was like, wait a minute.
So he says, in my professional experience, an analysis of the device internet search history often gives valuable clues to the user's intent or knowledge surrounding an incident. I conducted a review of the search record or search history information obtained from Jennifer McCabe's iPhone 11. You had iPhone 11 2022? Come on. Just kidding.
That's what my kids have.
Damn, okay, flexing on T. And observe the following.
It's 2024, they have an 11. That's not bad.
No, that's great. You doing better than the Capes over there. Your kids are, so hey, that's good. So here, date and time, it's saying 2:27 a.m., right? And it's saying the source is the Safari suspended state tab, right?
Yes.
And the state that it's in is deleted as reported by Celebrate. So the source here is when I was talking about the little database, one specific database, the database is the source, and the Safari suspended state tab is that source that they pulled that information from. That is not the browsing history. It doesn't have the browsing history in that database. It doesn't have what you like it, but the search term, they're getting the search term from the actual browsing history. So Safari suspended tab is only looking at whether the tab's actual state, and he constructs the theory of why he's using that. And so the search history information obtained from Jennifer McCabe's cell phone indicates that on the 29th at 2:27, the phone user entered the following search into Safari: how's long dying cold? Okay, so let's scroll down. Location. And then so she was saying that he looked at the write ahead file. So she's basically hired to play or to just rebut this. Yeah, exactly. So she doesn't have the whole thing. She's just hired to opine on whether or not this write ahead file and the browser state is indicative of whether or not somebody searched. And no cell phone expert would say that. They would just say that it's a clue. It could be. Those things happen sometimes when a search happens. It's not required for them to both happen at the same time. And yeah, Greenlee said she did a limited scope only on Safari on the hard drive, not cloud. She did talk about the browsing, or that there wasn't a search at that time. So it makes me think maybe they did send her some Safari browsing history around that time, which would be kind of weird. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? She said there was no search performed, but she was very specific about there was no event in the browser state database. And so I don't know if she meant to say that. Okay, we can go down. And if you want to play the video that
whenever you're done with this one, I'll do that. I'll play the video. I haven't looked at this. I didn't even tell you how long since I think Sleuthy posted her spreadsheet back in the day.
Oh, okay. So then he says thereafter deleted by the user. Okay, so this is him. This is Green reconstructing what he believes occurred, right? And this is his affidavit. He has the experience to say that he believes these events occurred. So he can't say, I believe that he can't say that there was a browsing history event that was this search, right? There was not a Safari search logged into the phone at 2:27. I'm using a more advanced technique that shows that there was a browser state event. And sometimes when there's a browser state event, that is evidence that the search was actually performed at the last browser state event.
Okay, what the hell does that mean?
Dude, I'm fried. I have no idea. I'm just kidding. So it basically, we can just keep going. It explains it more, I think.
Okay.
I'm scrolling down to on my end. Thus, the data unequivocally. That's a Bob word right there. Unequivocally.
Yeah, he likes that word.
You know, A further review, search artifacts. Okay, so anyone's confused about the search artifact, what an artifact is? It's just a record of an event.
Okay,
Or something
Susie's
that's
like, play the video. It'll help with the
Yeah, just play
explanation.
it.
Okay, let me play the video. Hold on. It's going to have to load for a second.
Exit out of search. In other words, we close that web. Just Google search. How long is it? We know that because we found search. The deletion was not the deletion of search, it was the deletion of the page. And as soon as that page was deleted, the other page behind it, which was our basketball, was immediately unpopulated. And when I say immediately, not at the same time, nanoseconds behind it. We actually have the nanoseconds. It's 5 digits beyond the decimal. We know exactly how that happened and why it happened. And Green, our expert, has verified that not through 1, not through 2, but 5 different searches, establishing exactly how long that it took for the Ozark page to populate behind the how long to die page once Jennifer McCabe exited out of that page, if that makes sense.
No. Still. Oh, it had a bad echo? Okay, shit. I'll play it one more time. Because like some things, if I don't mute, it'll do that. Hold on, I'll grab it again and play it without the echo. I'll mute.
In other words, when you close that web page, she obviously Google searched how long to die in cold. We know that because we found the search. The deletion was not the deletion of the search, it was the deletion of the page. And as soon as that page was deleted, the other page behind it, Ozark basketball, was immediately populated. And when I say immediately, not at the same time, nanoseconds behind it. We actually have the nanoseconds. It's 5 digits beyond the decimal. We know exactly how that happened and why it happened. And Green, our expert, has verified that not through 1, not through 2, but 5 different tools, establishing exactly how long that it took for the Ozark page to populate behind the how long to die in cold page once Jennifer McCabe exited out of that page, if that makes sense.
Okay. You gonna explain that to me?
I'm looking for what he just said in the affidavit. And I don't quite see it. And he said deleted there. I believe he meant closed. Unless he was saying that she deleted the browser history and then closed the tab.
Okay, so Sleuthy says, what he's saying is at some point she Googled it and deleted the tab at 2:27 a.m. Then the sports page auto-populated like Safari used to.
Yeah, so if she Googled it and then closed the tab, there's still a browser history event. You would have browser history at 2:27 saying that you did that search.
See, that doesn't make sense to me because now from everything I'm understanding, the timestamp could be caused by the closure of the tab.
That's right. Yeah. So it's a tab event, but she was saying that just because the tab was closed doesn't necessarily mean that there was a search performed, because that event doesn't necessarily correlate to the search. And I was still looking at this affidavit and I
want to go back to the affidavit?
What he said. Yeah, well, I wish I had something to read with what he said, but the phone was unlocked between 2:27, 2:93 text messages. 2 screenshots were deleted at 2:26. Uh-oh.
Right. This is Green, Sleuthy.
So I'll send it to you in Discord real quick.
So so for me, after walking away from her testimony today, I thought she did come across well to as a person. Which, if you guys listen to anything I ever say about experts, I always say and even though she's not qualified as an expert, they don't put them in as an expert. I don't know if that's a mass thing or what that is, but they just go through like her entire educational history and everything she's done. I thought, okay, like as I say about experts, like if you the jury has to like them, number one. If they like them, they'll listen more to them, but then they have to understand them. The expert has to essentially break it down to the point where they understand it. Me, I don't understand it. I'm sitting on the jury. I'm still thinking that she made this Google search at 2:27 a.m. That's my biggest takeaway from that. I don't know. That's why I asked you, DB, like, when you're done listening to it, do you think she made the 2:27 Google search? If you're the juror, like, what do you walk away with as somebody who knows way more about this shit than I do? What do you think?
Well, we have to. I think
up.
Interesting. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just going to put a poll up while you do that.
Okay, perfect. So for me, I think, well, I really hope the defense expert can clarify what the heck they're talking about. But
yes, that's where I was at too.
We all know how that's going to go. This is going to be days later, maybe even a week later. I think they may be able to recall. They may be able to recall one of the experts, but I just think that if Green comes in and has a much more simple explanation, I think it will be much more probative to the jurors, because I think that she did a great job, but I think the prosecution did an absolutely horrible job questioning her.
Yes.
Because she is a tech person. If you guys don't know people in tech, she's the archetype of a person in tech. Okay. And, there's certain barriers for women in tech. You have to be, it's a very difficult job, and they are incredible and usually much more qualified than some of their coworkers. And I think that she probably would have benefited from being limited more, but this is the same thing I deal with, my normal everyday life, trying to explain tech stuff to lay people, is you don't know what the other person doesn't know. So oftentimes to translate something into layman's terms requires you to know that person kind of well. And I think for somebody like her, who has that background and that brilliance in her field, she's used to talking to people that are in the tech world, but not as advanced as her. So she's communicating in a way that she's assuming that people understand.
Right.
And she is not, even though she was a great expert witness, I don't think that she's a professional expert witness. I just, by her testimony, it seems like she's a great expert in her field, but not a serial expert witness in criminal trials.
Right.
And that takes time for people to get good at and understand. And kind of, you have to have a cozy relationship with somebody from the state. And for me, those people kind of suck anyways. These state hired people that just get recycled into every single criminal trial, but they don't actually work for the state. So I just don't think she really did not have as much of a vested interest in proving the state's theory. So she answered very, very clearly in her head. And I think that Lally was just, wanted to talk about the snow, but he wanted to talk about the tiny little details of the browser and everything.
That's right.
And
didn't ask her.
it turned people off.
What you were doing at 8:22 a.m. on January 29th. So yeah, and I think we're kind of in agreement then, even as somebody who does know way more about tech stuff, and me who knows not a lot about tech stuff, I walk away going, I hope that the defense expert can simplify this to a point where I can understand it, and I can understand what she did right or wrong, because I don't now. And I did think she was very credible. I thought she was very likable, but I don't think that she came across to the jury as understandable.
Exactly.
And that's where I'm at with it. And I think that visual aids would absolutely help her in that. If she could have some type of presentation that shows exactly what she's talking about, I think that she would have probably made a lot more points, because part of it, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't even pay attention.
Well, so I hear you on that, especially the visual aid thing. I've heard that a lot from people. I've read that a lot today in the last couple of days about technical testimony, and I've read that in other trials too. I will say, you would think that, and most of the time you're probably right. However, like for this, she could maybe draw some charts or something.
Yeah.
But it just really sucks to explain, because even if you can like think of a way to break it down, and you're trying to explain it to the jury, right? You can't ask them. You get what I'm saying? Okay, does that make sense? Or do you need some more on that? So sometimes a visualization, they'll just stare at the visualization and try to figure out what's going on in the visualization and not hear and listen fully to how things are being explained.
But that's what you can't just do it like a poster board. You have to actually have it where it's walking through exactly what you're saying, so that you're explaining what's happening during the visual presentation. If I just sit here and I show you, I have a visual on the screen right now, but I don't talk you through it, and you go ahead and start reading the visual, then you're not listening to me. That's what you're saying. My thing is, if I'm sitting here reading to you exactly what I'm going through, we're doing it together. So if I have visuals that I'm going to show you, okay, I almost think like in the sand. I don't even know why my brain wants to say this, but it's just gonna. So I think if I put it in like I have like sand, and I put something in there and I erase it, but underneath it, it's got like a carbon copy, and then it's there, which is what you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, what do they call those? Like those things where you pull the paper up, like when you're a kid and you like write on it and you pull the paper up and then the writing is gone, but underneath on that blackboard, you can still see the imprint of what it is. You might be too young for knowing what the fuck I'm talking about.
I'm 22 years old.
Yeah, probably.
But
I don't know if anybody in chat knows what I'm talking about. It's like almost like a visual like that. Like, here, look, see how it's like gone, and then but underneath it, it's better. It's still there, and that's my hardware, my hard drive, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, carbon paper, that could be it. But are you talking about where there's the black? There's the black like wax on top of it, and you draw on it, and there's different colors under it. I don't know.
No, it's your blackboard underneath, but you can write on it. No, it's not an Etch-a-Sketch, not the one where you do the little thingies. It was like a pad. It's almost like a pad of paper, but it's not. It's got a clear plastic coating on the top. You can write on it and draw pictures, and the blackboard from behind it comes through. Now we're on a total side quest.
Oh, and it's like little magnetic
and then you pull you pull the clear paper back up and erases it from the clear paper, but the thing from the back still has the imprint of what you just did.
Yeah, I think it's a magnetic notepad.
Yeah. It's not magnetic. It's you're thinking way too recent. It's not. It's so much older than that.
Oh, okay.
So much older.
I thought the one I'm thinking of is you have like a magnet that's got a pencil, or like a pencil with a magnet on it, and when you draw over it, the little metal dust comes up and sticks.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Like that's a pick. Oh gosh, I know what you're talking about.
Picto, whatever the hell. Okay. Somebody had a PCM, I think. Let me scroll back up here. PCM. But does your explanation even matter?
Oh,
no.
I found one. Hold on, you're gonna have to wait a second. I found one.
Yeah, let's see it.
I'm gonna see if there's a video of it. Yeah, totally video. I'm gonna show you guys so you know what I'm talking about.
Just what the hell is this thing?
The magic slate.
Imagine having this instead of an iPad.
It's magnetic,
Lift the cheek, and it magically erases the drawing. Now we can draw again and again. Nice. Guys, thanks for watching. For more Toons, Toys, and Fun, it's here at Toon Desk.
See? So you pull the little thing up, and it's the...
Oh, it's a Toon Desk. Why didn't you just say that it was a Toon Desk?
It's not. It was actually called something else. It's called... I don't even know what it's called now, but... Yeah, hold on. Shit. I don't even know what it was. The other one is the Etch-a-Sketch, and then the other one is a Magnadoodle, and that's the one you're thinking of is the Magnadoodle. Why wouldn't it play that again for me? I want to see what it was actually called.
You're an expert in these.
Or Magic Slate.
Imagine having this instead of an iPad. Lift up the sheet, and it magically erases the drawing. Now we can draw again and again.
But it keeps all the stuff on the back
Guys,
there.
thanks for watching for more.
See, it's a Magic
That's too
Slate.
high tech for me. Let's talk about the SQLite database and Sanderson forensics. That's witchcraft for me.
Now, but do you see why I would think that that would work? Because it's like, here, look, and I put this in here. Here's my Google search. If I lift it up, I swiped it away, but it still stays in the back.
Yeah, it sounds cool, but I'm pretty sure that black material is asbestos. You know, that's why they don't make them anymore.
They don't make them because we have like iPads now.
Oh,
and then we're gonna have to have
he's
tech
saying he'd rather have that.
I can tell you right now that if you lift that up, it disappears, and on the back of it, it stays in the black. I know how that shit works. You want to tell me about your tech stuff? I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
That could be good for sending some secret notes.
Telling you, if the jury is my age, they totally get it.
So they asked, but does my explanation matter because she only had one part and not all of it? No, I don't think my explanation matters. I don't think her explanation matters. I just hope that they're getting the context that the defense really hammered home there was that you only did this because of Lieutenant Tully hired you to do that. And it was such a narrow. Yeah.
Hold on. So Greenlee had said something. Apparently, I was way too absorbed in my Magic Slate to pay attention. Anybody got those docs on a community page? I can just stick them. I'll stick them in the description. I'll stick them in the description of the live, Greenlee, so they'll be easy access for you. Let me go do that now. Keep talking, DB. You got this.
Hello, everybody.
This is Jessica's report. I don't know if you had anything on there that you wanted to go over.
Okay, so these are the different files. She explained these as like their URLs. I don't know if that confused you guys or if that was confusing, but this is where it's like your files on your computer. They're just not accessible to everybody. And they, like she was saying, she had to use a jailbroken iPhone to she used the forensic software, but then she used the jailbroken iPhone to test. Okay, so CH here. I missed a bunch of the stream. So sorry if you already touched on this. Did you get the impression that the witness was doing a bit of tech gatekeeping? That is a great question. So sometimes I like to explain tech gatekeeping as like tech-splaining too, like mansplaining, but technical stuff. Like if you go to Best Buy right now and you don't know anything about tech, there's going to be a guy there trying to sell you a laptop for $3,000, and he's going to be like, but it's got this and this and this, and just name stuff off, right? That's kind of what people refer to as tech gatekeeping or tech-splaining, and that is a very annoying thing. And for me, sometimes I'm a little bit of a secret agent for my friends. They ask me questions when there's tech stuff going on in their life that they need to make a purchase for, and sometimes I'll help them explain it or give them advice. So that's what hopefully the defense expert is going to be able to do. But I think with it being so far apart, it may be difficult. I don't get the impression that the witness was trying to do tech gatekeeping. I just think that she's not a professional expert witness. And she didn't do the prosecution any favors by the way she explained things, because she was just explaining it how she would explain it to some of her employees or one of her students. If you notice, she said great question multiple times. It was a little cringe, right? She said that to Lally. I think it's just because she's like a professor at heart and she just digs what she's doing, and she's just like, okay, let me give you the explanation, like she's talking to a first or second year software engineering student. So yeah, I don't think her testimony is I don't think her testimony was particularly persuasive, but let's say that there's somebody on the jury, maybe that has familiarity with tech a little bit. They could get confused enough just to misexplain it, or like when they're talking about it again in the jury deliberation, they could just say, no, 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 remember I explained this before. I think it's more like for me, this is more probative because I really like that they said it this way. The state's expert said it this way, and the other person, because they don't know anything about tech, may go, okay, well, this person seems reasonable that I'm deliberating with, and the way they kind of reviewed it out loud to us for their opinion seems like it makes sense. So it could really do having somebody on the jury that's confidently wrong or confidently right, maybe that other people don't even believe is right about something, could be harmful to either party's case, I think. Is the green person an expert witness? Well, I don't think anyone is green. That's their last name. But yeah, no, they're the defense expert.
I don't know. He might be green.
He might be, yeah. That is the defense expert, yeah.
I don't know. Do you know if there happens to be something like in Massachusetts where they don't make these people actual experts, or are these people just not actual experts? So he's not calling them that.
Well, I think with the state's expert today, they were doing voir dire. So I think
they didn't even have him as an expert.
Yeah, they did they? But the judge said that it was voir dire when they were asking some questions. I don't think the jury was there for him the whole time.
No, at the very end. No, yeah, they were asking him questions, but I still was confused on why they're not actually putting them in as expert witnesses. Why they're not saying like we would like to present this person as an expert, and then the defense says well, we don't object, and then they go, okay, here's your expert witness.
Yeah.
Why don't we have that?
It's different in the courts than it is in real life, I guess you could say, because there's been a lot of this conversation too about the issue of an expert getting qualified in Indiana. Oh, Travis is here. Sweet. I gotta really put my A game together. Because it's really about court precedent. It's really about court precedent, not necessarily somebody's in Indiana, especially. It's not necessarily about somebody's the basis for how great their analysis is or whatever. It's just whether this science is considered, or that field is considered scientific, and if it is and has been allowed in before, the requirement to overcome that is quite a burden, because it has to be basically disqualified as a science when it is so much precedent. And so they use precedent instead of accuracy upon studies like you would in the normal science outside of the courtroom. It's more of a precedent, how many trials it's been allowed at, and how how many times those trials or those cases have been cited, and it helps hold up the science, but doesn't mean that it's super accurate in the academic field.
Okay. So at the end of the day, we still don't have the exact answer because of the fact that she doesn't have enough information to tell us really one way or the other.
Yeah.
And we didn't even, I wonder if he's still going to put the Celebrite person on Ian. Like why do they do some of these so ass backwards? Like with the DNA, they put the guy and the girl from Bodie Tech that actually tested the stuff after MSP did, but they put him on after.
Yeah. I don't know. And then Jenny 33, she had a peer-reviewed paper on this. I think she had a peer-reviewed paper. She was just referring to that as part of her expertise. I don't know if it was exactly like this, what she's talking about, but even you think about what she's saying here, even if she did have a peer-reviewed paper on this and say it was extremely probative, it doesn't necessarily mean that the defense theory is incorrect. The defense is using the entire extraction, and they have an expert that is saying that in their experience that this is an explanation for why they believe this search occurred at 227. So it really just is going to come down to the dueling experts, and
Which we figured it
whether
would.
or not it always does, right?
CH said DB I was referring to was her liking having familiarity with and preferring the features of Sanderson over Celebrite. We all tend to like that which we learned on.
Yeah. I think the way she explained it too was they both have pros and cons. The reason she used the Sanderson forensic tools was because she wanted to use the SQLite forensic database viewer, which Celebrite, you can look at the data, but when she wanted to look at the raw data, which you could do in Celebrite, but she wanted to test the data as well. So she wanted to make a copy of that database and put it on her jailbroken iPhone and recreate the environment that she believes was the state of the device, and recreate it on her own device, her testing device. Sorry, that was just a little too intense. I just realized I went
That's okay.
a little too in detail there, but yeah.
No, you're good. Some people in chat understand it. Some of us are still like, at the end of the day, it is going to come down to the battle of the experts. And I say it all the time. When you don't understand the information that they're presenting, it's going to come down to whether you like them and whether they're able to give you examples that you understand. And for me, with her, I liked her. She did not give me examples that I understood. So I walk away going, okay, since I don't understand everything she's saying, and I always kind of go back to like the Casey Anthony stuff with this, because
Who's that?
I truly believe that those experts were so intelligent, but the jury did not have any idea what the hell they were talking about when it came to bugs, and that was it. And that they lost it. They lost it because they weren't able to make the jury understand in the simplistic terms that they would get it.
Yeah. And I think that's by design on the states. On the state side, that's kind of what they wanted to do, but I think it went too far, and they basically lost the attention of the jury because of kind of her delivery and Lally's inability to see that maybe it wasn't hitting correctly. I think maybe they both have kind of how do you say this? Not typical delivery cues, being very kind with how I say this, but I think they both have different fixations that account for the way they explain things, which I think is very under analyzed and examined when it comes to courts in general and true crime. It's like people will think that she's being I guess uppity or self-important, but for some people that is just the way they communicate, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they actually believe that. It's just they have a predisposition to communicate that way. And I think in true crime and in criminal justice, we tend to look at people like, well, I would never say that way, or I would never do this. So it's like evidence of them being dishonest or not knowing what they're talking about or trying too hard. A lot of people were saying that she was trying way too hard to be believable, and I just think she was enthusiastic, and I think that's her normal delivery for things. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I liked her. I mean, that's why I can only go off of how I interpreted it. So, but without the definitive at the end, like this is, and he tried to do like a, what are your conclusions? And it still didn't come across great to me.
Yeah,
So,
because I think she was being honest. I think that if she was if she had a vested interest in the state's outcome from like a private contractor's need to perform for the state. That happens all the time in expert witness cases, or cases that the state hires an outside expert witness. They have a vested interest in the outcome, and so I think sometimes they'll communicate in a way that's more favorable. But she was just very matter of fact. It did not seem like she was that interested in making it a conclusion only the state could celebrate.
Okay, so do you want to give me your opinion on what you thought of Mr. Reconstruction on Joe?
So this
Paul?
guy sucks. This guy. Okay, this is just what happens, right? Like these. I honestly think that this guy put this stuff. This guy put this stuff together.
You know, I do all the time.
Shit. Okay, this guy put this shit together and probably showed his boss, and then like a year later, they were like, "Oh, so we're going to trial on that case, right? You gotta show that shit in court in 3 weeks." And then he just like, "Oh God," and then just like try to get his notes together. You know what I mean? Because it looks incomplete. It looks very incomplete. It looks it looks like it's not credible. And this is what the state does in so many cases in every single different state across the United States. You'll see when Mr. Jackson was arguing that they changed the theory of the accident without reducing it to writing, just because they found out what the defense's theory was. That happens all the time, and it's frustrating because when you think about how he says that the car was going 24 miles an hour, right? And that it struck Mr. John O'Keefe. And that explains why it was going 23.6 miles an hour, because it struck a pedestrian, right? Well, they found out that the defense was going to say, well, it only went down a mile an hour. It should have maybe gone down more. You reminded me a bit of the guy who threw his phone all weekend to get the NFL. Oh my God.
Do you remember that guy? Did you watch Murdoch?
Oh yeah.
That guy was the flipping best. That's a great recreation.
I called that one too. It was a tough one, but I said I think Mr. Murdaugh is not a very good guy. I think he's kind of shady. It was a small chance that I was right, but I was a small chance. Correct. And Chad Daybell. My prediction on Chad Daybell being
called that one too.
Yeah.
What do you think of Stephen Stearns?
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
Listen,
you gonna call that one? Call it now.
I don't even keep up with that case because it's so bad that it doesn't interest me. It's so, and I don't mean that like I like the nuance. I don't think that's nuanced. But I also just not the type of person to take the state's theory at face value. But with what I heard, what I read, I'm not interested in examining those facts anymore. And I don't really care what happens to that guy. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Like I try not to be hypocritical, because for me, I hear a lot of people in the Delphi community say, I don't take the state's theory. I don't think the PCA is worth shit. That's just the state's theory, blah, 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 blah. And then they go, I think Brian Kohlberger for sure did it. Look at the PCA. And it's like, okay, dude, you just said the PCA was just the state's theory and that doesn't mean anything. And then because you aren't necessarily convinced of Brian Kohlberger's innocence or guilt, either way, you're just like, I'll take the state's theory for it. And I'm doing that. I'm like in my head saying, God, people, you just read and wait for the outcome of the trial. But then when it comes to like somebody like Stephen Stearns, I'm just like, fuck, PCA is 100% right. Like, fuck that guy.
I know. Fuck that guy. Yeah. Well, I think for me, since you bring up Kohlberger, because I am one of those people, and I don't think that I take the state's PCA as like 100% fact. I know it is their theory. I feel like there's more supporting evidence that they have based on the PCA than the PCA from the Delphi case. But I'm also somebody who when I read the PCA for the Delphi case, I was like, it's not great, but I've seen worse. I've seen better. I've seen worse. And I was like, finally, they got the right guy. Like, I was all on board with like, okay, they finally found him. Here we go. And then they put in Judge Gohl, and I was like, great. Like, we've got a judge with some experience. Like, that's what we need on the case. Right. And now, I mean, I kind of like walked away from Delphi with the, I'm going to let it all kind of play out. I think they got the guy. I think we're going down the right path. And then I was like, wait a minute, like something's off. So I actually went back and was like, okay, now this doesn't make sense now that we know XYZ. For Kohberger, there's a lot of supporting things that we don't have in Delphi. I mean, we obviously, there's the biggest piece is the DNA. And I think if they had found Richard Allen's DNA at the crime scene, I don't think many of us would be discussing the case as we do now. But Kohberger, they actually included much more evidence of how they got there. Now, I also think that there's some things in the Kohberger case where the cops could be purposely leaving some stuff out, and that always pisses me off. And that's how I kind of am with the Karen Reed case. I am still, people think this guy's a piece of garbage, but looking at his data, I think that there is a good chance the Commonwealth in the Karen Reed case could have utilized what this guy was supposed to do and proven their case. But Lolly is not the one to do it. And this guy did not present the information well at all. But in digging into what his information actually was, I was like, you could have actually done something with this. You could have gone further and moved the mark here, and you didn't do it. At least not yet. He's still on direct technically. So when we come back Monday, Lolly still got him. But I think for me, Karen could very well be guilty, and she absolutely could have hit John O'Keefe. But the investigation and now this trial is so bad, I just can't. I don't know how they're going to convict it. I don't know how they're going to dig through the trash to figure out what's important. Kohberger.
Speaking of digging through trash. Yeah. So on the Kohberger thing, I mean, you say, like, people will say he's digging through trash. Like, I mean, let's get some footage of that. Let's get some proof that he was wearing gloves. Like, okay, let's go through this, right? And like, let's examine these theories that the police have said or the media has speculated, because there have been so many rumors and theories that have been out there about Kohberger that the prosecutor literally stood up in court and said were not true. So the whole stalking thing, the whole connection thing, there's just a lot less there than what we've been inundated with in the media. And for me, like, going through it always kind of from that perspective as a skeptic from this towards the state, you know, I was always kind of biased and looking for a reason to prove myself wrong, and I just never found it. I was just finding more and more stuff that looks like there was issues. And then this whole federal grand jury thing happened, where it came out that a lot of these search warrants and subpoenas were through the federal grand jury, so they can't be cross-examined at trial. And a lot of the stuff in the PCA was from a federal grand jury, and none of that, a lot of it's not going to be able to be used in court, or they're not going to want to present a lot of it in court, because then they'll have to present the search warrants, the search warrant timeline, which I think they're reluctant to do. So
you're bringing up an excellent point, which is the two sides of it, though. So does the investigation, and it's the same, I think it falls into the same categories as Delphi and the Karen Reed case, does the investigation and what is able to be presented as evidence create enough quote unquote reasonable doubt that the person is actually guilty?
Yeah, and I just think that bar is really high for me. And it's not, for me, it's not like what is more likely than not, like, take it the legal analysis, that's legal standard, the preponderance of the evidence out of it, right? But like, more likely than not, I think is what a lot of true crime people use as the standard of proof to whether they think somebody's guilty or not. Like they think, okay, this theory is correct or this theory is incorrect. So like something that I've heard or read a lot of really good trial attorneys, defense attorneys say, is that they sometimes don't want to create or attack a theory directly, because then you start getting into a back and forth about theories instead of proving one little thing at a time. Because if you create a theory and the state can poke holes in it, they may, or say you have two not theories that are not mutually exclusive between the defense and the prosecution, the issue may be that they say, okay, well, actually, the defense is, I don't believe the defense's theory as much as I believe the state's theory. So they'll say, I guess that means he's guilty then. You know what I mean? So the idea of competing theories, I think I've read a lot about how that could be difficult in trial. So I don't look at it as like two competing theories. That's why I don't think, even if they just totally dumpster this forensic expert that the defense has, and they go with what the state is saying as their reasoning for that search, I don't think it really affects the case that much. But will the jury say, well, the defense was so adamant about this, Jackson was really pressing Jennifer McCabe about this, and maybe it wasn't true, and now you have a different perspective on Mr. Jackson. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's an example of like how I think this evidence could change things, just whether or not they believe it or not. And I think that's why you always have a measured approach when you're doing cross-examination. And I think that Jackson has done a really good job of being pissed, but not being able to save himself if maybe some of the facts aren't perfect. Because if he's just absolutely disrespectful and to the court and to the defense or the witness, and then he's like getting shit on with some of his theories, then you're really not gonna take that person serious the rest of the trial. And Steph B, yes, I did learn this at Chipotle. I when I put this chicken on people's burritos, sometimes I ask them what they think about trials. And one time I worked at Chipotle right outside the Supreme Court of the United States, and sometimes I'd ask the justices questions.
Susan said, but look at what he did to Tully the other day. Okay, well, let's get through this guy, because like I said, I wanted to go back to Tully and Proctor. I wanted to kind of touch on these people. So do you think that he came across, that Trooper Joseph Paul came across as educated, likable, and understandable?
No. Next question.
Okay.
I think no, sorry, I was kidding. I'll go into that a little bit.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I think Travis was in another chat earlier today when he got a break. I don't know, this guy's, he's always out there hooking and jabbing, taking these cases. Sometimes he gets to join during the day. But he was saying something about the Leica Total Station, which is like a accident reconstruction tool that you take pictures and scans of the scene, and you can then have a 3D analysis of the positioning and everything. And so, like I was saying, like there's a you take a clone of the cell phone, right? And when you are looking at this, you do that because you want to look at the cell phone later, right? And you want to have an exact clone or image or copy of that phone. That's what the Leica Total Station does. It's going to try to capture exactly what happened at the scene, and that is a tool that is extremely important. Because you're not relying on some drone shots and Google Maps overlays. You're having a real forensic tool that's been tested to be able to scan these things, so you can look at the scene accurately later just like you would look at a cell phone later, and you could write like detailed analysis about it. And I just think that he's a smart guy or smart lady, Greenlee. I like that. So I just think in the testing that he had, oh my God, this is the point I was going to make a while ago that I got sidetracked on. Sorry. Remember I was talking about the speeds, right?
All the time.
Yeah. So the speed. So they find out that the defense's theory is going to be that there's no way the car only slowed down 0.6 miles per hour when hitting a 250-pound man. So what did they do? They came up with this other theory, is that, well, it was because he was kneeling down and you only hit the right side of him. Thus, the speed did not lower enough. So they just shifted the goalpost a little bit. They didn't exactly need to prove that he was kneeling down or he was only hit in a certain area, because there was no body bruising. There was no clear time, or there's no clear analysis by the medical examiner that said he was struck horrible or he was struck standing up or kneeling. It was just that it was undetermined, and then they can really talk about whatever position they want him in. And that's the type of things for me that would give me reasonable doubt, is if you can't say how this man was standing and what actually happened, and you're just going to shift the theory based off what the defense is going to say, that means you did not believe beyond a reasonable doubt that this theory was correct. And I have a problem with the state doing that, especially when you're talking about the total cost of this trial. I mean, it's probably ungodly.
Travis says he proves it, but only circumstantially. So we are to whether this jury, 10 women, 2 men apparently, are willing to convict based on circumstantial evidence. Some juries, not a problem. Others, not so much. See, for me, I don't even know how he proved it circumstantially. Because, and like I said, I don't know what else Lolly's got in store for this guy. I don't know what he planned after watching the footage of John or of Karen backing out of John's garage. Maybe he still has more video. But the quote unquote reenactment videos, they aren't even hitting anything. I mean, we don't know how fast he's going. We don't know how this is happening at this with a little bit of a turn in the road. We don't know what damage would have been done to a body that's John's size, because even if they do hit it, it's a 5'6" dummy, not even one that represents the actual victim. The videos they showed us so far are like about visibility. So they're even trying to tell us, like, it's about the visibility and what she would be able to see if he was standing here and if he was standing here. But they're doing it in the light, which is not when the accident would have happened. So I don't know how you're recreating something that isn't even what you're recreating. You know what I mean? Like, right. That's not what happened. That's not this. How do you recreate? Like, how do I go, okay, I'm going to recreate all of this in the snow, but I'm going to go do it at the beach? Like, it just doesn't work.
Right. And they started the reconstruction with Google Earth screenshots. They didn't even go out there, which the only way I could see that is if they also had pictures of it in the snow, but they had those versions to see where like the shoulder was a little bit more accurately in the street. But I say you need to have both of them. That's why I think that this guy, they like forgot about this guy's analysis until later, because it just doesn't seem like this guy was prepared really to testify this. But Travis asked, were they not able to download the rear camera images? Well, he was saying that he hooked up the and downloaded everything off of that. So I don't know if that included that. I must have missed that part today.
Well, he said something about the infotainment system that somebody else ended up with that. But then I'd have to go through my notes here to see exactly what I said, because there was only a couple that I actually really cared about.
Yeah, and then he asked about plastic. Could plastic, what is going to break first, plastic or steel? I mean, for those of you here who can fog up a mirror, you know that plastic is is not as hard to steal, right? But he couldn't say that. He had to, oh, I don't know how fast, but how fast could it be? And even the thing about the speed, Jackson did a great job. Well, how many accidents have you reconstructed where the speed was 1 mile an hour? He couldn't
Right.
say that. He could only say it was low speed. It's like the Delphi case. How many cases have you worked, sir or ma'am, in the forensic lab that has the smoking gun in the case, a unfired cartridge? Well, you can't say that because most cases involving firearms involve a shooting, thus spent rounds, right? Here,
Right.
most fatal car accidents that the state police is going to examine and reconstruct in a criminal trial are not going to include a 1 mile per hour collision. Because what is the damage normally from a 1 mile per hour collision? Very minimal damage. So I don't see that theory as or what he was explaining doesn't make sense to me.
Well, see, for me, like I said, I thought they could have utilized this information in a much better way to show the jury that she did what they're claiming she did. I don't feel like I don't feel like the way they did these reenactments of the videos, number one. But number two, even just his visuals, they didn't even explain when they were. They didn't explain what they were looking at. Why do they think it's from this time? What makes them say it's from this time? Why are we looking at this 10-second interval? What does this 10-second interval have to do with anything? Why do we care about this specific 10-second interval? But just to back up a little bit, because I wanted to make sure I brought this up, and I was watching it on with Jay and Allie, and they didn't seem to react to this. But on February 1st, he went to the Canton Police Department, and we know that because Proctor actually testified to that he was in there. So he goes there and looks at the car, and then he says he goes to Fairview to look at the scene with Gallagher.
Don't love that.
Well, Gallagher is a CPD officer who's been recused from the fucking case.
Yeah. Well, they can't interview people. I don't know. That's crazy to me because this is the same thing with Holman and Delphi sometimes. What's that?
Susan said February 1st, 2023. I think that's different. That's the other thing they did. That's when he learns about the text stream. The text stream had to learn about the text stream, so he conducted that test on February 2nd of 2023. He didn't know enough about the text stream. But this was February 1st, 2022.
Which I think was absolutely an L for the state right there. To have your expert witness, state police officer, say, I didn't really know about this technology until, last year sometime, but let's convict this woman of second-degree murder. I had to figure it out last year a little bit more. I'm not qualified on it. I mean, I'm telling you, Lally probably wanted to die on the inside if he has a soul. I don't know if he has a soul, but
I just think he's so embarrassed at this point. He's just like, I just want this over. I don't even care what the fuck happens anymore. I just want to go home. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And, it's what people may say is, well, maybe he's just being honest about, his qualifications. Yeah. Then you don't do the case. Then you don't charge her. If he's not qualified, he can opine. But if you don't think that it's going to be probative in court, that his opinion is going to get torn to shreds by an attorney with the qualifications of Jackson, you don't charge them. You don't take them to trial on this when this dude is going to get absolutely barbecued on the stand and look a fool because of his language and how he explains his qualifications.
But DB, this is exactly what Lolly's done with all of his witnesses. He feeds them to the defense. He's just like, here you go. I set it up for you. All you have to do is put the ball in. I'm just like,
maybe Lally went to middle school with all these people and they were mean to him and they became cops. And he said, I'm gonna win one day. I'm gonna show all of you. And he's got some type of public embarrassment, third party, kink or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I didn't really. Let me see what Travis said here. Yes, the part about download and interpretation, and Joe has asked, you are certified in that, correct? I have had a couple of classes. Yes.
Right.
So
Which so no, you're not certified then, because is there a certifying body for that expertise, or you just took a couple classes? Were they online? Do you have a certification, a piece of paper you printed out? I don't know.
yeah, he had to take like a quiz, like a 5-question quiz. I mean, I have a ton of certifications like that. So I like when they say that they're certified in this kind of stuff, I'm like, you have any idea how many certifications I have based on a module of like, I had to read like 6 different pages and then take a 5-question quiz, and then they print me out a damn certificate.
Yeah. Like one of those quizzes where if you answer wrong, it says try again, and it doesn't even count against you. It's like a link. I'm LinkedIn.
And then it tells you like the next time you do it, it's like, that was the wrong answer.
Yeah. It's like, did my grandma give me this test? This is too nice.
This is too nice.
Yeah. So
Lolly thinks that qualified as crash reconstructionist, but he thinks this towhead is, well, and none of these guys have any fucking hair. I don't understand it.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
is there
they're
something
assigned
about
cop
can't
at birth.
have any hair?
Yeah, I think they're assigned cop at birth. Like they just never had hair on their head, and they just
never had any hair.
Shave. Yeah.
It's like, you go to Canton and you will be a police officer.
Yeah. So for the defense, I could see, like you're saying, you could do a better, like there could be a better reconstruction of the events of what happened. I think the defense could definitely have some type of
I think they will.
really simple, this is inside the vehicle, this is the steering wheel turning. This, and well, the one thing, probably the worst thing I took away from today is, you may not know this, T, because I know you're a West Coaster. No, you've driven in the snow before. I think you said you.
I was born in the Midwest.
That's right. If anyone here has driven in the snow, do you think your wheels have ever spun before? Have you ever pressed on the gas and not gone anywhere? Because for me, I mean, especially like when I was in college, I had the same tires for like 8 years. So like I had some slicks, you know what I mean? So yes, my tires would spin all the time. And even if you don't know what you're doing, or say you do know what you're doing to get out of snow, if you guys aren't that familiar with it, you got to creep sometimes. You got to put it in reverse. You got to creep backwards. You got to put it back in the drive. You got to creep forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes your wheels break loose. Sometimes you don't quite know it yet. And then all of a sudden you're revving up to, so many RPMs, 2,500 RPMs or whatever. And it's like, oh God, that's what they did it with. They didn't know the actual speed. This is not a GPS system that's showing their real-time location and then calculating it. They were talking about the RPMs of the vehicle and the actual speedometer, which is a conversion of how many times your wheels spin.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do what?
Well, they didn't reconstruct any of that.
No, they just knew how fast the wheels were spinning, because if you get bigger tires on your car, one revolution takes longer. It makes you travel longer distance with one revolution, and a car calculates how fast you're going based off of how many revolutions in the size of your tires. So it could be that they're looking at the RPMs thinking the vehicle is traveling some certain speed, when really it's just spinning the freaking tires. How many RPMs does it take to spin in the snow?
He says, like, so it shows that it's a pedestrian strike. And this is another thing. I'm like, how does it show this? How does it show that it's a pedestrian strike and not a strike of anything else? Like, number one, that was my first question. Because I was like, oh, so that only happens when your car hits a pedestrian. Okay. Doesn't happen at any other
mailbox.
time. No, I guess that doesn't work. It wouldn't do the same thing. Maybe if you hit a mailbox, it goes like 5.5 degrees. Your wheel goes 5.5 degrees to the left and then to the right. Sorry.
What was he trying to say about the degrees? Because was he saying like as if you can't back up straight, or you would turn if you were not hitting somebody?
If you're backing up straight, why is your wheel going 4.5 degrees to the right and to the left? it's an indication with the second in between that it hit something, like when your car bumps into something and you kind of like go back and forth, like side to side, like
Jostle.
your hands going kind of side. Yeah, jostle. That's the perfect word. So like that's what he's kind of showing, like, oh, she had to have hit something because it's like boop boop, like, you know.
Okay.
But in this reconstruction, I don't know why we don't see him go from 0 to 24.2 miles per hour in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're saying she did. I want to show me that her car does that it goes from 0 to 24.2 miles per hour in reverse in 5 seconds. Why don't they do that? Why don't we see that in the reconstruction?
And if she what? Okay, so if it took if she went in reverse for 5 seconds, that means her vehicle went over the victim, because that has to be some type of distance you're covering there, unless her tires
No, they
were
don't think that
spinning.
she did. They don't think she did. She bumps him off to the side, and then he goes flying at the angle that he's hit, which is the back right corner. And he refers to it like as a swipe, like a side swipe. So it's like a back hit, but a side swipe almost. So it's like he kind of gets hit, and then his body turns and like flows backwards after the side swipe.
Okay, but if she's
so it's
going,
not even this whole dragging of the body and this whole all that kind of stuff. That's gone now.
yeah, well, if you're going 24 miles an hour in reverse in 5 seconds, you've covered some distance. So if she would have just hit him, doesn't necessarily mean that she was at the highest speed, which you would think that she'd be at the high speed. She would slow down after she hit him. Seems like their theory, but that means she would have to be how far in front of him and then put it in reverse and then do that?
62 feet, I think is what it said. Somebody will know that because I didn't write that down. I think it was 62 feet is what they said.
Yeah, 62 feet. Okay.
So, yeah, 24.2 miles per hour from 0. Because here's the other thing is he does say that she's driving, she's in drive, moving forward, goes down to 0, puts it in reverse, essentially slams it, goes straight back. It gets to the 24.2 miles an hour in 5 seconds. When she hits him, it immediately slows the car down to 23.6 miles an hour. And then within a half a second. And then that's when he's saying, well, you can tell that something stopped her. That something, this is why I was like, you are missing such an opportunity right here, just with this. Get to use your data charts, get to this, recreate this. Like, that's it. That you would have been, the jury would have been done. They would have been sold if they could have just proven this. That's why I highlighted it. Because I'm like, this, it's obvious that she hit something because she's not, her acceleration isn't going less. She's still hitting the gas pedal at a 74%. So she's not taking her foot off the gas to slow down. So something has to stop her from slowing down. Now, could that have been a curb? I don't know, because we don't have a reconstruction that shows that could have been a curb. She hits the curb and she's still on the same thing. But to him, this data only shows a pedestrian strike. This is why I'm like, you could have recreated this and literally shown this is how she did it. This is where she was at. This is how fast she went. This is her car going that fast in that amount of time, and then hitting this body, not this dumb, 5'6" dummy. This, you need to get a replica the same size. Like, come on, this is Canton. You got the fucking money, do it.
Yeah, and I see Travis's comment here. This guy's just pounding out that it's 24 miles per hour, is 35 per second. It would be 125 feet, assuming you're 24 miles per hour the whole time. Okay. So I think Canton should be able to reconstruct it. Like, they have the theory. They made the theory. Is it that they don't have a reconstruction now because they're pivoting quickly off of what their original theory was because they know the defense's theory now? So they had to scrap the whole thing?
Because they spent all their time trying to fight the defense theory instead of actually continuing on with their own, like they did in the trial.
They got scared. It's like when Nick McClellan read the ex parte motions.
Yeah. He's like, oh shit, retract.
Okay, and then with the throttle thing, for those of you in chat that know, So when I hear 70% throttle, I believe they're saying that it is pressed 70% all the way to the floor. So like,
Yeah,
there's 30% more you could go to being fully flooring it, right?
correct.
Okay. Because I think it, like, sometimes people will think percentages like in a bar graph from bottom to top. So like, because you push the throttle, you press the throttle down, 100% of the throttle would be completely off of it. But I can see that makes sense that 90% would be all the way the max. Wait, 90 degrees.
No, it was percentages.
Yeah.
It wasn't degrees. It was in percentages. The
Yeah, it was
wheel is in degrees. The wheel was the degrees.
Right. Okay.
He had it in percentages, so it's still going to be 100%, even if 90 would be. I mean, so it's still his percent. You know what I mean? Like, and it's consistent. So no matter, my point is, no matter what that is, it's still consistent. With how fast she was going. Like he's saying, like my point is, they could have proven that she obviously hit something to slow her down, and the gas pedal still be at the same spot, no matter what, even if it's 4%, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could have
I
actually
get that.
realized that.
I just think none of your business might be a state actor over here trying to spread some misinformation. I'm just kidding. They're funny. I always, yeah.
That math is wrong. The 35 per second is correct. It would take 2.5 seconds to get to 25 miles an hour. The videos don't show how many feet it took to get to 24 miles per hour, which was baffling. No, the videos don't show anything. But I think they stated 62. And now I didn't write it down, so now I'm going to question myself on that. But I'm almost positive they said 62 feet.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that was part of his graph. Hold on, do I still have that up? I actually might still have that up. Hold on.
Ooh, color coordinated. This looks like a sleuthy graph.
I was like, they could have actually done something here. And like Travis did say earlier, what they did do was ultimately make it so that there will not be a directed verdict. So after the Commonwealth rests their case and the defense says, we want this dismissed, so on and so forth, and we want a directed, we're asking for a directed verdict, that they did enough to continue the
Right.
case. Like that's I don't know what standard that really is. I don't know if that's the standard I would be choosing to meet. I mean, I think you're supposed to be trying to prove your case, but
that's like when I was a middle schooler and I got a D-, and I'd be like, Mom, I didn't fail.
I didn't get an F.
I didn't get a case dismissed right away. It went to the jury.
I don't even remember what was I coming over here to look at? That's not this chart. It's the other chart, I think. I think it's this one. Oh shit.
The speed of reverse.
No,
because
I was in the middle of it. It's like, no.
Approximately don't put Steven Stearns in the ads.
I want to hear you. I think it was this one. Let me see. This is B chart. This is his 10-second chart, I think. Let me see. So here he's got her these. I don't know if you guys can see this. You probably cannot. Let me see if I can make it bigger. This row is where he's got her going forward. So she's in drive, and then she stops, gets back down to 0, goes into reverse, and then she's reversing this whole time.
Yeah, just when I look at these separate data points, a real contracted expert reconstructionist could turn this into an animation easily. They have software. I mean, like, the speed, the angle in which the steering wheel was. You put this data into a reconstruction tool, and it should show you some type of video recreation that you could start to have some type of visual with. There's just too much data here that this is not an effective means of communication. So when people say they're a visual learner and they want to see something, this is what this, like, sometimes the state will give you. You know what I mean? It's like,
this is the
gonna
part I thought I was going to be really bored, and I kind of was. And then when they start showing these, I'm like, okay, now I've got to figure out how to understand what he's got here, because Lolly, of course, doesn't break it down so that anybody understands it. So I had to keep going back to try to understand what his charts even were. And that's why I said they don't talk about the time. So we don't actually know when, like, what he just says it's a 10-second period, but he has the other chart. Oh, this is A. This is when he's like, so she did a U-turn. So he's essentially explaining how she does a U-turn, but he doesn't tell us when she's doing a U-turn or anything about it. So it's just like,
oh my God.
And this is the data chart for the 12,629 miles that her car's driven. And at some point during this 12,629 miles, the woman did a damn U-turn. That's what you get out of that.
Bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And anybody that has unfortunately been in over their head, figuratively, on the side of the road in snow, you could keep your wheel straight, and if you press on the gas, sometimes you just go one way or the other. So even if she didn't turn the wheel, her vehicle could have drifted in one direction or another without the absolute position and angle of the vehicle. You do not know what effect the steering wheel is having on its position.
Hold on, I'm responding to something in chat.
Okay, I'll read this one. Maybe. Okay, so Susan, my good friend Susan, thank you for all the support always.
Always.
I missed. So AJ doesn't wants tire spinning mentioned. Yeah, so I think that he Jackson objected and surprisingly won. They sustained it because he didn't want the state to explain the tire spinning, because that would have really hurt what the defense's theory was going to be. So he says, which was interesting because on cross, defense is going to say, how can these speed numbers be accurate if the tires are losing traction in ice and snow? He won the objection so that they couldn't say, because the Commonwealth wanted to ask the expert about how the system works on the ice, suggesting that the tires are spinning what the system would show. Jackson objected. The court sustained the objection, meaning that he cannot ask that. And why do you think that is? Is it maybe because he didn't reduce it to writing? But also rhetorically, but also hoping that Travis answers, because I'll just read what he says. But
okay.
I think that it was probably the defense's theory that they were going to have the angle by ambush, basically, that the defense by ambush, where they were going to say, well, you could say all that, but we're going to say, what about the snow and the tire spinning? And him arguing that preemptively would have mean that he's kind of changing the state's theory on the fly without disclosing what an expert would say, or like what the expert's analysis would say. Okay, so Travis says it was below freezing and the question was ice. And it was one of the few defense objections. Yeah, very few defense objections. I think
it had just started snowing at that time. They were just getting the snow. Remember that? That's the whole. It was, asking everybody if it was sticking to the ground yet. It was just starting to snow.
And that's where it could be.
If anybody knows,
dangerous.
Even though I live in California, I can tell you that your tires, when they're dirty and oily, when they very first hit wet pavement, that is when they are the slipperiest. I think that's the right way to say the slipperiest.
This is what.
The most slippery. There we go.
That's forensic. That's forensic language.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So you just driving through oil puddles out there or something? Are you
I'm saying that when it rains,
character from Super Mario Kart?
Yeah. That's how we do it.
Nice.
So I mean, I definitely, when the wheels are spinning the most, when it's the hardest to drive, like in rain, is when it's very first starting to rain. That's when things get the slipperiest, the most slippery. The answer is, you can tell on that car if one or more tires lose traction with sensors, and unless manually overridden, the vehicle applies braking to the wheel that spins. If all four wheels spin, all four brakes are applied regardless of throttle. So he was saying something about the tires not braking at the same point or something. Does that have anything to do with that? I didn't understand that part of it.
Yeah, so my advice would be, if you have a traction control system in your car, turn it off, because then you could do donuts, and you can't do donuts with traction control on in the snow.
Okay,
Just kidding. Don't do that.
Good to know. Good to know. Random words, it's actually in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds is how long it takes. 0 to 24 in 5 seconds. Because it said so she starts at 0 at the 4th second on this 10-second grid.
Yeah,
and then it
maybe
stops at 9 seconds.
I wonder if this is online somewhere. I could probably recreate it, but maybe I could put it in some type of animation tool I could find online or something. But like when I see this data set, my reaction is not to highlight it with different colors. It is to make a visual recreation. Like, I feel I can make an animation in some way that could interpret this data in my head, like, more than just highlighting the colors. I think colors are very individual of what people represent them in their head. Like, when you see certain people see red, they get very like mad because like their work is being red marked. Like, if you're
that red and yellow are the colors of hunger, and that's why fast food restaurants all use red and yellow. That's a marketing tip for you.
That's good. That's good to know. I just think that it's very individual. So people,
Chipotle, I think you need to know that.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah.
I agree with you. If you could do something like that, I think it would be incredible. I could not make that. This is the first data set. This is the U-turn one. This is when he proves that she does a U-turn at some point. That's A. And then B is the one from where he's saying that this is the seconds where she's actually backing up into John. That's this one. That's B. And then he's got the subsection of B that he puts up too. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. Let's still B. This is the shorter one. This is to break it down into the specific time that they think he was hit is right here. And I thought there was one more. It's right here. Yeah. Then there's this one that he does it a little bit different. So it's just like the same chart, but sideways. So I don't know, if you could make something out of that, that would be incredible. Let's see. Most slippery and so-called first rain due to the lack of regular rain and massive amounts of vehicles. Oil is lighter than water. Correct. Sound like a joke. Smart. That would be the system engaging in Range Rovers and Land Rovers, Lexus, LX, and are all-wheel drive and have advanced traction control. I'm thinking it's a big element of cross coming up. Oh, maybe. Hopefully they can make sense of whatever he said. But like I said, I think this was a huge missed opportunity for the Commonwealth. That's how I feel about it, because I think they have something here and they just did not do well with it at all.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, woman doing impossible things in here. My old friend, my good friend. Hey. Hi, woman doing impossible things. I always say, it sounds weird calling her a woman, you know? You usually use like the first word of somebody's username.
Hey, woman.
Hey, woman.
I know, like hello, spring. I'm always like, hello, spring, hello. Lone Pony says, in my opinion, if they could have recreated it in animation, they would have. I don't think they can because it's all fucked up. But they did prove the witness can drive in reverse. Amazing. Just like they proved that John's DNA is on John's clothes. I mean, while he's killing this, he's doing so well.
He is so. It's like when people are like, I'm detail oriented on their job application. It's like, yeah, the wrong kind of detail oriented. Sometimes you really got to dig into what that means. So So what else was on that list of things that
All right, let me go back
cover?
over. Let
I'll
me go
see if I
back to it.
can make that a little bit more easy to
Yeah,
read.
see what you can do with it. Let me see if there's anything else. The Gallagher thing got me. The fact that he didn't take any of his own photos. Like, how do you recreate anything without your own photos, without your own measurements? That was a whole big thing. I think a ton of people in chat brought that up, that there's nobody measured anything at all. They don't know where John was actually found. And then they have Gallagher going out there to, Gallagher doesn't know where John was found. The other ones are all going off of what Good said. And then Good tells Proctor and Buchanan, and now they're telling nobody knows where John was found, because they're not even asking the people that were there. And they never actually took any pictures or measured anything. We don't know exactly where things are found from one point to another, yet this guy makes a map at the beginning of his testimony to show, oh yeah, this piece is found, 7 feet from here, and they're there. Like, how do you know that? The pictures won't even tell you where anything is. So that was problematic for me. I'm like, how do you recreate anything off of nothing? It's like, let's just pick some data points and we'll just say that's where it is.
But let me ask you this: would the state accident reconstructionists lie? Is this you a part of a conspiracy theory?
This guy?
Yeah, are you saying he made this all up? The state would never do that. The state has the benefit of the doubt. I think that's what a lot of people think. They go, the state would what is this, a conspiracy? No, guys, he's just not that qualified. It's a goofy test. It doesn't mean there's a conspiracy. It just means that maybe some of the things they put people away with for the rest of their lives, maybe they're not that foolproof. And maybe we should really examine what's considered forensic. And this is the kind of stuff that they've been using for decades to put people away. And because of Karen Reed's power in society, she's been and resources, she's been able to shine a light on that and get proper representation that can really pick this stuff apart, because this is obviously problematic.
But honestly, this makes me very concerned for cases where I do think that the person they have is the right person, like Brian Walsh. That makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, we're not just saying this because we want everyone to go free. We want justice, and we don't think that you should be able to go to court on a ton of different habeas or post-conviction issues for decades because you couldn't just do the job right the first time.
All right, this is what Travis wanted, an aerial view.
Whoa, look at the repair job there.
It's terrible. Those poor Canton roads. Look at that. It's just like, I don't know. It's like somebody went there and drew it with a crayon.
Yep.
So bad. Just fix the fucking roads.
I do have to go. But can I just want to touch on something really quick. Can I just say something about the LISC press conference yesterday?
Oh my gosh, yes, please do.
I'd love to talk about it in more detail, but I would just like to say, guys, if you did watch,
I'm going to do a live stream on it, so you're welcome to come with me to do it. I'm hoping for tomorrow, but I don't know.
Okay, sweet. Well, I'd love to talk about it in more detail, but everybody, I just want to say, some of those pictures, they just were literally people that Valerie Heuermann or Victoria Heuermann followed.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't create all that art. That was not her art. And I think that press conference is reprehensible. So I have lots of opinions about it, but I have been writing about it. I have a lot of notes on it too. I just think there's been so many people that say, oh, this person was there, that person was there, this guy's done this. And I think that this is credible because of this person's credentials or experiences. And I think that was just bad, all around bad. And so I think I heard you say something earlier about talking about that. So I just wanted to touch on that before I go.
I agree with you. So yeah. And thank you. I mean, I think everybody in chat's going to tell you, like, thank you so much for trying to dumb it down first. Most people got it. Some of us are still like, it's still not thinking that she made a good point, but
right.
I appreciate you trying.
Of course, I appreciate it.
The ones who did understand it.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I gotta go. The feds are here.
All right, I'll hit you up on Discord when I can figure out a time to do LISC.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Thank you. Okay, so Travis said, would she have had to do a 3-point turn? No. So she could have just driven straight down here, which is what many assume that she actually did do. She would not have had to have done a 3-point turn. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. So she could have just come down here, and then John O'Keefe's house is over here. So she could have just taken the street down. She could have come across this way. She could have gone over this way. There's a couple different paths she could have taken, but of course they don't have. She should have gone straight down here, taken the Canton Library, which is what I'm assuming they think she did, but they don't have the actual footage from the Canton Library of when she's coming back that direction, and then she would have gone to John's house. So she did not have to make a 3-point turn, even though originally there was commentary that she did make a 3-point turn because she they originally thought she came up this way from Waterfall, and they said she made a 3-point turn to park in front of the house. And then they tried to change it with the McCabe's and say that they thought she did a 3-point turn to leave. I don't know. The 3-point turn kind of went away for the most part. Now nobody really wants to talk about it. At the beginning of the case, it was like a really big deal. So no, so he would have been. That's what I'm saying. Like, so he would have had to have been his shoe. The zoom in on this one's not as great as the other map, but like the shoe would have been here, and then he would have ended up like over here, and then so she would have had to have been over this direction. I think we measured it out to the 60 feet. Yeah, because originally it was 60 feet. Now I think they're saying 62. So she would have had to have been here and back straight up into him, and then made him go flying off that way. So there's that part. Hammy says, I've been following lists for years and I don't know anything. Oh, it was rough around the edges. Some people are really happy about it, and others are pretty pissed. All right, let me see what else you guys have in here. Yeah, they describe it as a wave. I think what they're seeing is this crazy repair job. They're like, yeah, there was like a wave out there. Because also remember, how are they seeing too much in the snow when the snow is barely starting to stick? I don't know. All right, let's see if there was anything else on there that we needed to touch on. Travis, does that work for you? You want anything else on here before I? Well, I can always just bring it back up if you do. All right, let's see. I don't think there was anything else really about his that I really cared to talk too much about. They did the voir dire at the end about the video at John's house with the Ring camera. So they had the jury go home, but technically he's still on direct. So when we come back on Monday morning, he will still be with Lolly, and unless Lolly says he has no more further questions for him, which is possible. But as of right now, he is still on direct. So Lolly has an opportunity to continue showing us something. Maybe there is video where he is driving the car and it does go 24.2 miles per hour in 5 seconds backwards and hits that 5.6 dummy. I don't know. We don't know what else he's got in store for us. I do want to, let me see if I can find it on here real quick. It's in here. I do want to talk about one thing from that video though before we move on. Let me see if I can find it really fast though. I don't know, some of the things that they think are important, I'm like, that's not even what like I would care about as the juror. Like, why aren't you showing some specific other things? But maybe I don't want this one. Where is it? This one. Let me make this bigger. So this is at the Canton PD. So I'm number one trying to figure out why they're doing this at the Canton PD, but I guess that's where the car still is, so they're just doing it then. This is January or February 1st, apparently, or I'm not even sure if they actually said what date they were doing this, to be honest with you. I should probably go back and figure that out. Do you guys remember what date they said they were doing it? But anyway, my point to this is that have you guys recognize what this is? And I can't blow it up on my screen. I don't have the J technology, but right there. That's a camera. I was like, you guys seriously have a camera right outside the Sally port that would show if Karen's taillight was broken when it came into the Sally port? Let me see. Hold on. Where does it show her hitting his car on that chart information? Oh, yeah, we don't have that, Sheba. Yeah, they don't put that on there. That'll be a great one. I wonder if with the data that the other, well, so here's the thing with the reconstructionists that are from the, are going to be testifying for the defense. They're the ones from the FBI. Remember, we've had a lot of conversations about them with there's the 3 experts who came together and wrote one report. One of the things that Lolly's pissed off about is that he doesn't know who of these 3 people did what. Like, their report doesn't break it down like Bob did this, Tony did this, Sam did this. It's just a report that's written and then all 3 sign. So when Bev's like, well, why don't you guys have that? To like Yannetti and Jackson, they're like, well, we don't have that. Like, this is the FBI reconstruction people who wrote this report, and 2 of them are coming to testify. So we essentially have what the prosecution has here. Now, that's why we're having the Wadir come this Tuesday, where we will have court, but we won't have a jury in court. She said for a half a day. I don't know if she's going to do the full day or the half a day. It went back and forth, so I'm not sure where she landed on that. But so that they can actually sit, they're going to question these reconstruction guys on what parts they did and what they got. So we're going to hear a lot about the FBI reconstruction before the jury even knows anything about it. So convenient, that camera probably broken that night. Probably, yeah. There's a camera at the Sallyport camera. Yeah. Snow could have been covering the backup camera too, though, and then it wouldn't work. That happens in my car sometimes. But remember, it had just started snowing, so there wasn't a ton of snow on the car yet. And even with a red light, why isn't it beeping? Why don't we have the audio? It should be beeping and getting faster and louder as you're getting closer to an object, and their reconstruction video doesn't have that. Not only that, they don't have that. They can't even ask them because of TUI restrictions. Right, but they are testifying, so. And everything shows the left side of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're going to stand over here. We're not going to record anything that happens over there. I don't, they could have just done so much better with this. All right, let me see. So, like I said, on Monday, we're going to come back to him. So, I'm so sick of talking about Proctor. I can't, maybe that's probably why I skipped over his stupid ass. I don't know. The biggest takeaway from the end of Proctor was that now we know that Kevin Albert and him are much closer than he ever said, and that they hang out, and Kevin Albert loses his gun and his badge in Michael Proctor's cruiser while they're out drinking and driving in his cop car. So I just don't even really, there's nothing, I don't think anybody's going to take anything away from this guy, because I think he's just a trash human being. I'm just trying to go through it real quick. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. Such a piece of garbage. AJ, you believe because you thought it was reconstruct John or the guard. Yeah, that essentially everything was about the agenda of just putting it all on Karen. Then we have Tully, who came on. So he's the lieutenant. So he's essentially Buchanan and Proctor's boss. He was definitely more professional. I think he would come across much more credible. The only issue is they tried to make him into like some tech guy that he is not an expert in, and about the cell phone towers and the timestamps on the, like, all the videos. So they got all the videos in through him of like from the library and from the temple. He really is trying to get the jury to believe that the timing of Karen driving around in the 5 o'clock hour, that she had to have gone back to Fairview, but he cannot prove it. He goes through like the times that she's hitting each tower. I don't know if they're going to have a different expert that comes on, but one of the biggest things, and if you did watch Murdoch, you know this, I mean, probably any case actually. The towers, it could give you a different tower even though that tower is further away. So I didn't find this to be very compelling either. I thought it was kind of a dud. Like I said, if you guys think something different, please let me know because I'll do it. Do you want to go undercover and try to get a swab from Colin? The Lexus system captures black and white photos of rear view camera, yet I was unable to download those with no explanation. That could be reasonable doubt right there for some. Anything that pertains to her actually hitting John or that taillight being broken from 12:24 a.m. until 5:07 a.m., all of that is gone. And then if you add in anything past the crack from 5:07, which that fucking guy, Joe at the end during the voir dire, he's like, oh yeah, totally could have cracked it. That was the word. I was like, oh gosh, thank God the jury's not here, at least for the Commonwealth. I was like, you know damn well Wally's going to be telling him, don't you dare say that on cross. Let me think of what else was on here. I just didn't. Oh, his map, another unprofessional thing. I was going to bring this up earlier too because they all look the same. I know they do. It's like ridiculous. It's like a bunch of twins, triplets. He's showing a map from that he made. It's very dark and you can't really tell what anything is that's on it. And then you have Jackson who comes out with his map that's very white, very clear. And then he's trying to say, well, I can't really understand this because, you know, the roads aren't as visible. Jackson hates him, so you know he'll get him to get the guy to say the word crack. Well, he can always say, like, when you were being questioned, you did say the word crack cocaine. You didn't say that. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. You guys remember anything that was important about him other than so then they talked to him about the Ford Edge, which is, this is going to be Lucky Loughran's testimony, and they don't know if he's going to be called for the Commonwealth. He is on their list, but Yannetti said he is going to call him himself, and he's trying to say that the veracity of his statements is bad. Like he changed his story multiple times. So they did try to get a hold of the whole get ahead of the whole Lucky testimony, which I thought was quite interesting. I was like, all right then. So he's like, oh yeah, he's changed his story. He's done all these different things. Ooh. The other thing I want to talk about with Proctor, and you guys have probably all seen this by now because this was a couple days ago. Proctor. Let me see. With Proctor, Lolly asked him to go over why he doesn't like Yannetti, and Proctor, being the idiot that he is, goes ahead and says, Yannetti was at my sister's school yesterday where my sister works, where he's not supposed to be. Like they have some restraining order against Yannetti, like he's not allowed to go places. And that one of the teachers had to go out there and tell him to leave. And Yannetti's like, what? What in the world are you even talking about? So apparently after court that day, Yannetti said, no, I was at that school. I met Lucky Loughran at that school, and he drove me through the path that he had taken. I didn't even know that I didn't have any idea who worked there. Lucky's the one who picked where to meet up. And I never talked to anybody while I was there. So, yeah, there's a story going around now that Yannetti's just not allowed on school properties. That is the stupidest thing ever. That is the stupidest thing ever. Okay, let me see. Travis says it was pretty shocking what Tully had to say about the text messages. Let me go back. About the text messages between the Bryans and how he didn't even know that they were there. That he didn't even know about them. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, another big thing was this whole pieces of plastic with Tully. He's saying that he found 2 pieces of clear and 2 pieces of red. There's a ton of back and forth on this. His report says he found 1 piece of clear and 2 pieces of red. And then they pull out the bags, and there's actually 3 pieces of red and 2 pieces of clear. That was a whole thing. This was another thing. He's telling Jackson that he did not review the whole Sallyport video. Jackson asked him about the dark video, and then he asked him about the clear video. And he asked him about noting if it was inverted or timestamps. He said, I did not watch the whole thing. Now on redirect, it comes back up again, and he says, oh yeah, I did take note of the time jumps. I mean, that's not the right word that he used, but he says he did take note of it. But on cross, he says he didn't watch the whole thing. I was like, ooh, you lie. Let me see. Am I right about what you're talking about, Travis? Was it about the text messages between the Bryans and how he didn't know anything about it? Let me just review. They talks about though they didn't have any reason to seek a search warrant for the Fairview house. John was invited to the party. John arrived. There was a broken glass. Tully wears shorts. Oh, that was the other. He wears shorts, so he wasn't surprised that anybody would not have a sweatshirt on or a jacket on during a snowstorm because he's out there wearing shorts all the time. Jackson does a good job of like, well, wouldn't you have bothered to look for any of these missing articles of clothing like inside the house of a party that he was supposed to be at? I mean, they purposely avoided searching that house. I don't give a shit what any of these guys say. They were not searching the house. And Proctor, I think, explains it when his friend is like, that guy being a Boston cop, he's going to get some shit. And Proctor's like, nope. Like, we've got it. Like, he's not getting any shit. We've got it under control. And to me, that still doesn't even have anything to do with whether Karen actually did it or not. It has to do with this bullshit good old boys club of covering up whether it could have or should have or would have happened. They didn't care. They didn't care to look into it. And that's why they didn't follow up on any of that fucking unknown DNA on anybody's clothing. Let me see. Okay, that's when they argue about that. Let me see what else there was. And they're arguing about the signal. He doesn't know who owns a Ford Edge. They never even followed up on who owned a Ford Edge because they didn't think that Lucky was a reliable witness. Where was that? I do remember that though, and maybe I just didn't take note of it. Why would I have not taken note of it? I do remember him saying that he didn't know about those. That he didn't know about the text messages, so he didn't do anything about it. He also said that he wasn't aware that Higgins had said in his interview that he saw a tall, dark-haired man enter the house. He says he wasn't aware of that either. Maybe I just didn't take note of it. I don't know. I'm still at the point where I feel like we're at the end. Now we're about to enter week 8 of this trial, and I'm not convinced of anything. And I think there was a couple very big missed opportunities with the 2 witnesses today. And that's my thoughts. I think they could have actually done something with this reconstruction that they just did not do. And the messages about Yannetti were way before he went to the school. It was a BS excuse. He was pulling a Jen McCabe. Yeah, the stupidest thing though he did was he completely doxed his sister's work location. Like what are you doing? Yeah, the short guy. Yeah, he's the short guy. He's out there shoveling the snow in the shorts. The unknown DNA left huge questions unanswered. In fairness, hi, Dr. G. In fairness, my teen wears shorts, hoodies, and Birkenstocks with socks outside all winter. I mean, I would still think like, hey, even though I hate jackets, I would still be like, hey, where's this guy's jacket? We don't know that John hated jackets. So I found this in a Facebook group and I just thought it was hilarious. So I'm going to share it with you guys before we wrap up. So welcome to Canton, guys. Everything's ass backwards. Ass backwards. All right, we're at 4 hours. I think I am done. I am going to try to do a live tomorrow on Lisk. I cannot make any promises. I have to get some stuff ready to, I have to go get some stuff to pack for the trip for this week. Just there's so much going on, so much on the plate, but I'm going to do my best. I want to cover that. And then I don't know, I want to go through the Madeline Soto documents. I just don't know when to pull that off. Again, we're back in court Monday. I leave Wednesday. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to try to pull it together, make it happen. But go enjoy the rest of your Friday night and your weekend if I don't see you, but hopefully I see you tomorrow. I appreciate you guys, and I thank you guys for being here. I know that, especially when it comes to this case, there's so many channels that are covering it and doing recaps, and yet you guys choose to hang out here with me and go through everything and laugh and get sad and all the things that we do. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. Enjoy the new red solo cup emoji, all you members, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Have a good one.
Do you dare to fall